We are live tonight on November 24th, a few days before Thanksgiving, on the new, now pretty much weekly tournament recap show. I don't have a name for it yet. If anyone's a good idea.
The weekly tournament recap show.
It's sort of a lame name, though. I'll just call it like the Untitled 40K show.
Formerly known as.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, for the viewers, there is some show notes that I'm going to update on YouTube right now that goes through what we're doing today. But briefly, we're talking with Anthony once again with his Blood Angels. He won another RTT last weekend. This is going to be in the first segment, which is going to be after we discuss a bunch of recent tournaments that just happened, the lists, things like that. After that, in the second hour, I'm bringing on two Art of War subscribers who are going to talk about the first one's Evan. He's going to talk about his Space Marines. He's transitioned from Salamanders before the Codex dropped. Now he's moving more to a John Lennon style list with white scars. And then after that, we're going to have a bunch of Harlequins and Eldar talk. No Dark Eldar right now because I don't play Dark Eldar, and there's none of that in the list. But there's a lot of cool stuff from Eldar. There's a lot of lists doing well. Mostly Harlequins.
Yeah.
Boats. Yeah. It's mostly Harlequins, unfortunately. But it'll be good. All right. So let's get started with the most recent events. So I'm not going to go through all the events here. It's not there. I picked a few that were relatively on the East Coast and a mix of larger events and smaller events. So we're going to go from November 14th. There's two events that I wanted to talk about that were interesting. One was Warzone Dark Times. This was in Georgia with the Pro Tabletop guys. They pretty much dominated the event from what I saw. Hopefully we're going to have a few of the Pro Tabletop guys talking to us next week about this event or perhaps other events they're going to. So for that event, the top players were number one was taken by Admech with Damian Owen. We have number two was a Space Marines list that had some Space Wolves, but it was mostly Ultramarines. They took second place, Jamie Paris. And third place was an actual Ultramarines list piloted by Thomas Bird. Now, there's a lot of armies. I don't think you play too much, do you, Connor?
So this is called Warzone Dark Times?
Warzone Dark Times. It was in Georgia. It was the same guys that ran that huge $5,000 prize event last year.
Yeah. I recognize all those guys because two of those guys were the commentators.
Yeah.
Damien and Thomas.
Yep. Yeah, they did pretty well at that event.
No surprise, right? I mean, Imperium is so strong.
Yeah.
Admech, I trying to pull up the list right now, actually.
Well, the lists, I got to add that to the show notes. But the list, I'll talk about the list real quick. It was a really Cataphren heavy list. I was sort of surprised by this. He's running Mars since they got rid of Vigilus. So I guess Mars gives you Wrath of Mars. It gives you, I don't really know what it gives you besides call. And this army doesn't have call. So it was just Daedalosus, a Tech Priest Dominus, and then a Tech Priest Manipulus for, warlord traits from Engine War plus the ability to increase the range of the Cataphrons guns because they're only, they're relatively short range. So increase them to 42 is pretty nice.
Right.
36. I don't know. So he has what, 2 units of 10 Cataphrons and then 1 unit of 9. That's a ton of Cataphrons right there.
That is a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot of Cataphrons.
It seems so susceptible to getting tagged and stuff.
Yeah, well, I assume he did take learnings of the Genitor. I am not sure which one that is, but I do not believe that's the fallback one. Huh. So it might be the Cataphron one where you have Feel No Pain. I'll have to look that up. But either way, it's 1,000 points of Cataphrons. I'm surprised there was no call in the list, considering that's...
Yeah, maybe he just wanted to...
He probably didn't have the points. So the rest of the list was 15 Electro Priests.
Oh my God.
but they come on from board edges, obviously, to clear objectives, things like that. That's why Mars is there for
That's why he can't get tagged, because anything that tries to charge the Cataphrons just gets obliterated by these electro priests.
Right. Exactly. So
He's
then
got the planes to screen, and this is a very interesting list. This would be a challenge to play into.
Yeah. It's just so many tough units. I mean, they're toughness 5, 3 wounds, 3+ save. Oftentimes they're in cover for a 2-up save. You give them the stratagem to give them, increase their saves. It's pretty tough. He had 2 units of raiders, standard stuff for Admech these days to stop charges, to get objectives, do all sorts of stuff. And then you have 2 bomber archaeocopters, which provide the ability to slow down a unit and simply just push out a lot of mortal wounds and be quick. So then we had the other list, the top 2 player with Jamie Paris with the mix of Ultramarines and Space Wolves. Like I said, he took a really small Space Wolves patrol, which has a captain, or a smash captain with Thunderhammer jump pack. He took
nice.
Armor Rust, just standard sort of captain stuff for Space Wolves. Small unit and cursors just to fill out the troop slot. And then he took a unit of Wolf Guard with jump packs, with lightning claws and storm shields primarily. It's an interesting choice. I guess he wanted a little more close combat ability, because the Wolf Guard pretty much perform the similar role as a Vanguard unit would, but they have the Space Wolves ability to get more attacks.
Yeah, it's well, I guess he's also got this kind of. I like the idea of Gilliman running around with an Armor Rust Smash Captain. That's pretty intimidating.
Right, because he still gives the +1 to the advancing and the charging, and I think the reroll ones too. So he's still another captain.
Yes, he's got a grab pod. It's a little old school at this point, but I like that.
Yep. So his second detachment was Bobby G, and then his third detachment was an Ultramarine Outrider, which I mean, he took a lot of CP hits on this. So he had Librarian, Tigurius, with infiltrators. I guess he's worried about other deep strikers. I don't know how good infiltrators are these days, but 1 unit's pretty solid. Took standard apothecary that everyone's taking right now. Chief apothecary upgraded to selfless healer, stuff like that. I took the Seal of Oath on there, which makes his units really powerful against a single enemy unit. A Victor's Honor Guard to probably hang around Bobby G. 3 attack bikes with multi-meltos. We're definitely seeing a lot of those lately, since they're just, I think their firepower is better point for point than Invader ATVs, although you can't resurrect them in the same annoying fashion.
Right.
Only 4 wounds versus 8. Again, I don't know if anyone's ever thought about this, but we have here in my house the absurdity of an Invader ATV being a bike that explodes when it dies, like a vehicle.
Coming back.
And then this medic comes along with this like this little syringe and puts the pieces of the exploded bike back together. And he's just good. I don't understand that.
He's got magic hands, man.
Yeah, he's okay. They took a small unit of suppressors. Well, I guess the only unit of suppressors of 2. I don't know. I thought you had to use units of 3. I'm confused about that. Maybe they're 1 to 3 now. And then a unit of Inceptors with plasma that everyone's taking in every unit. I was joking about Blade Guard Veteran, but I feel like Inceptors with plasma are the everyman unit now.
Whew, those guys are scary, man.
Yeah.
Some Inceptors.
And then, like you said earlier, he took a Grav Pod. So it seems like his strategy was pretty much hold the middle with Bobby G and the units coming around to support close range. So
it's really a weird list.
Yeah, it seemed pretty interesting. I've never really seen it on the tabletop, so I'd like to. Too bad there's not more of an in-depth. I mean, they don't make videos, so it's tough to know how exactly he played it. But he did well. He got second place. So let's move on then. The other tournament was the mid MO. I forget where that is. Crap, I had that listed down. It's in the show notes. So at that event, it was a large event. I think it was 50 people, which is huge during COVID. Obviously, that's a substantial event.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Top 5 for that event. So it's a larger event. I'm doing a quick top 5. we had James Kelling with Eldari. I think it was a mix of mostly Harlequins. Then we had Nathan Bates. His name will come up again. He played Necrons. He got second place in this event. Third place was Ben Cherwain, Cherwin.
Yeah.
He is using a Black Templars army that is different than our last guest last week, Joseph, and we had comments about that, asking Joseph to comment on Ben's list. So that's interesting. Number 4, we had Dan Salmons with Space Marines, and then number 5 was Joshua Thomas with Orcs. We don't see a lot of Orcs right now, so it's good to see the boys in green pulling out a win. Well, at least top 5 anyway.
Real briefly before we dive into this, one last note on the last tournament. The Admech player played the Ultramarines player that we just talked about, those two top players in the final.
Yeah.
27-19.
How does that even what kind of score is that?
That's
what is that? Did you just know anything?
I have no idea. That's so nutty. Oh my god.
Wow. Okay.
It's a fun factor, but 27-19. Wow. I would have loved to watch that game. That would
does that include painted?
That's wow.
I mean, that's like what, 9 points then for the Space Marines?
It's like no primary scoring done.
Just do nothing.
Minimal secondaries. That's wild, man. That's crazy.
So so the Harlequin list that won from James Kelling, his main detachment was, like I said, Harlequins. It had just a troop master. I don't see any
no Shadowseer.
No Shadowseer, or there is a Death Jester. So there's no Shadowseer, just a troop master with the Twilight Fang, which is pretty common. He took just 4 units of minimum Harlequins, with fusion pistols on 3 of them. Yep. He took a Death Jester. He took 2 units spikes.
He's got Cat Lady in there too.
Mm-hmm. Yvraine's in there too. I don't know how I feel about Yvraine. I just think the Ynnari psychic powers are terrible. So
just the smite and the other smite are good, I suppose. Yeah. That's why people tend to take her.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the new Eldar book at some point. But yeah, 2 bike squads, one with 5-man, one with 4-man. Nothing really special there. Obviously with Haywires, 3 Skyweavers to transport all the Harlequins, and then you had an outright detachment of Eldar.
Just guns.
Yeah, with just Hornets and a Farseer. I like Hornets.
Warwalkers as well. 1 unit of Warwalkers.
Warwalkers at the bottom, you're right. 3 Warwalkers with star cannons, 3 Hornets with pulse lasers. I like Hornets. I think they're appropriately costed now. They made the pulse laser not cost an arm and a leg to take. So I think you'll see them more. I have 3, but then again, I've been told I have every Eldar unit anyway. So
anybody who's got 3 Hornets they want to sell me, I will buy them. If anybody's watching,
I don't.
I will buy 3. I like Warwalkers. I played a game with Warwalkers today, and I just had like 2.
Yep.
And they're really solid. I was impressed.
Yeah.
That the Eldar shooting is still really good, and well costed, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely getting a little bit cheaper. That's for sure. They're realizing that perhaps Eldar having AP3 weapons isn't cause to make it incredibly expensive when they're giving that same firepower to every other army now.
Yeah, and like invuln saves and more terrain. I don't think it's particularly devastating.
No.
Like
the show notes on YouTube are updated with all the links. Unfortunately, the program I use, Restream, has a 900 character limit when I post to multiple platforms, so I can't put the full show notes in it. But anyway, so
this is a good spin on the Eldar list. Like, I like it. It's like I think it doesn't have to rely so much on the using like just like burning calories in your brain to figure out Harlequin tricks for a whole game. You can just kind of rely on the shooting from the Eldar to sort of take out really scary things, and then use all your CP and tricks to steal objectives from your opponent with the Harlequins. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, if you're pure Harlequins, you really have to consider what you're about to do, or your next move may just be picking up your models and putting them on the side of the board. Let's just be gone. So the number 2 list from that event was Nathan Bates with his Necrons.
Nice.
He took a detachment with the Silent King, which is becoming very popular. I'm seeing him here in my casual games. He's a lot tougher than I thought he would be. He's a lot tougher for certain things. I feel like he's still pretty vulnerable if you're going against the Marines that have a bunch of Eradicators or multi-melta bikes, because yes, he has a 4+ invulnerable save, but if you start failing those, his 26 wounds start going down to nothing. Or I guess he has 28.
Isn't it 36?
No, 30.
They have the two little.
I think he's 30. Yeah, I think he's 30, something like that.
That's
But
good.
either way, you start failing those 4+ saves and hit you with D6 plus 2 wounds. Your day can get ruined pretty quickly.
It's so gross. Melta's so good. It's like,
yeah. And then he also took another detachment with 2 Cryptex, Technomancer, Plasmancer, just for those good sweet relics they have. He took an Overlord, I imagine, because he's a noble, so you don't have to rely on the Silent King for everything. He took and this is it's a patrol, I believe. Yeah, he took a patrol. So there's only 1 unit of Necron warriors. I'm not seeing a lot of that Necron horde stuff that people were talking about, which is good, because I feel like that's, as we'll talk with Anthony in a little bit, that's pretty vulnerable. Then he also took a unit of Scorpec destroyers, some Scarabs. He took 6 Locust heavy destroyers. Whew.
Shooting's still good, right?
Have you seen those in action?
I have not yet.
They are a reason that vehicles are becoming fewer and fewer. Each one of those stupid guns is like strength 12, -4, or -5 if they're Mephrit, or the one that gives an extra AP if they're within half. And then they do 3d3 wounds. So they're just, each one 3d3 wounds, or damage. It's
Jesus Christ.
It's devastating. I'm like, I don't even know why there's vehicles here. Just throw them away. So you took 6 of those, and that's pretty much the list. A bunch of heavy destroyers, some Scarabs, other destroyers. So it's very elite heavy Necron list with the Silent King. It's like 1, 6, 12. That's like less than 40 models in this whole. Wow. Okay, the Warriors bulk it up, but they're going to die. So interesting Necron. Oh, and
like, are they though?
He has a Scorpic Lord also to help the rerolls.
And he took that guy in auxiliary support, which is interesting.
Yep. Yeah, people. I thought the loss of CPs would be a bigger deal. I guess not. People are taking a lot of detachments that are reducing their stratagem capabilities, but based on what I've been playing against with Necrons, is that they don't use a lot of stratagems anyway. So you might as well use those CP up front to make your army more efficient.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't played against Necrons yet, so I do not. I just play against Chaos mostly.
We have a lot of Necron players here, which is weird. We just have a lot of them, like 3. It's just, I had to tell people who wanted to come to the tournament, I was like, I can't have 4 Necron players in a 12-person event. Not very interesting.
But I'm going to let you talk for a second. I got whatever 1 minute.
Okay. So the other events we have were from the 21st. We have 2 more events from the 14th, just real quick. So we had an event that John Lennon of Art of War went to down in Florida. I don't know the actual name of the event. It was just listed as FLGS, which is very friendly local gaming store, which may be the name of the store, but it was mostly a lot of Brohammer guys. So John Lennon took first place with White Scars. Then we had Gabriel took second place with Custodes. We had Robert Hawkins with Chaos Demons taking 3rd place. Finally, there was another event called the Bolters at Dawn Invitational. It was another RTT. Necrons pulled out the win there, piloted by Chris Kentrup. We had Nate Soder with Eldar, mostly Harlequins again, I'm sure. And then we had, coming up with 3rd, Jesse Brown with Astra Militarum. And that was all the events that I sort of noticed for the 14th. Now, going into last week, a few days ago event, we had 3 events that we're going to talk about. One is with our first guest, Anthony. He played in an event called the FBC 2020 RTT. It was 13 players. First place was taken by Anthony with Blood Angels, who has also won his last 2 events, maybe 3 events. Pretty good. I'm sure he'll tell us in a moment here. We had number 2 was Dark Angels by Kyle Myers. He is a friend of the team formerly known as Beast Coast, if you remember them. We're just a social group now. due to not a lot of events going on. And then third place was our guest from last week, Joseph, with his Black Templars, which is significantly different from Ben's list, I believe. Now, the other two events that went on was a 22-person event, Thanksgiving, the third. It was a food drive event, so a lot of charity based, which is great in this holiday season. First place was taken by Nathan Bates, who, if you remember, took second place at the mid MO from a few moments ago. He played Necrons again. Second place was Bam Bam Hunter. I don't think that's his real name, but it's his name right now. He played Sisters. And then we had Mike DeLonge with Dark Angel. So that's two Dark Angel players coming from the top three this week. The last event that we're going to mention for this week is the HWP November tournament. It had 20 players, and the first place was taken by Astra Militarum. This list, it's a pretty brutal list. The list again is in the notes, but real quick, it was a tank list. It had 3 tank commanders with demolisher cannons, some four infantry squads that don't really need to be mentioned. He had a Lehman Russ solo, a Lehman Russ with demolisher, 2 mana cores, 5 total chimeras, and then Knight Commander Pask and another squad of infantry. It's just, I mean, that's not a very finesse based list. It's just a hit you with demolisher cannons until you die. So he took first place. So I guess his opponents decided to die.
Clipped.
So the second place for that event was Ruben Fernandez with a Slanesh list.
Oh, you know Ruben? Yeah, I mean he's been an Art of War guy for a while, right?
Yeah, I think he's been talking with TJ a lot about this Slanesh list. So he ran a battalion with 2 Keeper Secrets plus the special character Keeper Secrets, the Shalaxai Hellbane. So that's 3 Keeper Secrets plus some Daemonettes to fill it out. Then he took Fiends. I like Fiends. Fiends are a unit I bought 4 boxes of, so I'm trying to get them ready because they're beasts. They can go through walls.
Slanesh.
They stop people from falling back.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I have a bunch of shit. I have a whole case of chaos back there. Whole demons.
Oh my god, this guy.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff. Yeah, I know. Okay, fine. It doesn't work with Eldar very well.
What's Slanesh?
Whatever. It's fine. They're the good version of Slanesh.
Oh my god.
So then he took Emperor's Children with the standard sort of Emperor's Children. What is it? Small patrol here. Yeah, with just a Demon Prince, Dark Apostle for the sweet relic that gives rerolls to wound. Took some loser cultists and a unit of full Terminators with combi plasma and lightning claws.
Yeah, I'll tell you the Emperor's Children trick where you can get a 6 on your charge roll automatically is so gross. Yep. They got some tricks in there, man. The double shoot, feel no pain, practically an auto charge at do strike on Terminators is really, really strong. Yeah, just the amount of shooting too with the reroll wounds. I mean, I use it army when I play Chaos here, and it's just the unit is devastating. It's a lot of CP, but it's still really good. So real quick on the list that Nathan took for Necrons, it's significantly different in terms of he still has a Silent King, but he took a Catacomb Command Barge. Make sure I am. Make sure it's no. I'm sorry. This is not Nathan's list. That's why I wanted to make sure. It's the third place was taken by Alexander Hemdinger with Necrons. He took a Silent King. He took a Catacomb Command Barge. You're seeing a lot of those. Royal Warden. Just again a small unit of Necron warriors. 5 destroyers with 1 heavy destroyer. So not quite the same capacity of killing vehicles, but still very powerful. Then he took another detachment with the Chronomancer. Orkon the Diviner, I am not quite sure what he does, so we're going to skip him for now. I'm sure there's a reason he's in this list. Then there's 2 units of Scorpec destroyers for some close combat ability, and a few units of Scarabs. So really, this isn't, besides the Silent King, there's not a lot of huge heavy hitters here. So I based on what I've seen of Necrons, he probably took units apart piecemeal and won that way. So
Now we've been over all the events of the last week. Again, all the lists that we talked about are in the show notes. I put everything in the Dropbox so you can see the lists. And we are going to go into our first guest here with Anthony. He was on the show last week talking about his list. His list has not changed, but there are some new Blood Angel stuff to talk about as well, in addition to his tournament performance, which he played different opponents. So that's good. Something new to talk about. So we're going to go to that right now. All right, Anthony, can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me?
All right. Welcome to the show yet again. You seem to be a fixture here. I mean,
Trying.
you keep winning. So
That's the goal, man. Just keep racking them up.
yeah, sounds like you had a good time at the event too.
Yeah, it's great time. That the TO there, Frank, runs a great event.
That's cool. It's always good to know. I mean, there's a lot of events out there.
Yeah,
So it's good to hit up the good ones. There's not a lot of options right now as it used to be.
for sure. Yeah, I'd go to his even if there was. That guy runs a tight ship, a good show.
Nice. So it looks like from what I pulled up on BCP here, and as we talked about earlier, you played first of all, there was 13 or 15 people at the event?
Yeah, 14, 15, something like that. I think we had a drop after the first round. Someone did not go the results of their first game and got out of there.
Especially if it's an odd number, you don't want to have. I mean, it was definitely a local. People who drive don't do that usually.
Yeah, no, me and my boys that drive 3 hours to these things are not bailing after the first one.
No, unless you're John Parsons. So if you're listening, Parsons, he is the king of drops.
Oh man,
So
ring the bell.
Yeah, I know. So it looks like your round one opponent was against Matt Carey with Orcs. So why don't you go ahead and briefly explain his list and how the game went.
So he was playing two. The thing that I remember most about his list is he was playing 2 grot tanks of some variant that were a Forge World model.
Yeah, grot tanks.
They got they weren't the little ones though. They were like the big grot tanks.
Okay, you're okay.
Yeah,
right.
grot killer.
Grot mega tank.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's
just add mega or big in your.
Yeah, I was gonna say large or kilo or something like
that. That's good too.
Yeah, they had scary guns, so I tagged them. Then he had 10 smasher guns. And then it was like 30 boys, like 20 grots, Gazgul, Makari, an amount of characters that made me consider assassinate, so like 5 or something. It was like Law Banner, Gazgul, Makari.
Yeah, orcs tend to have a lot of characters just because they need all those buffs.
Yeah, it was like Banner, Pain Boy, this, that, the next. It was a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. 2 of those tanks. Oh, and there was a truck full of tank busters. That was the other one. Just a vehicle full of missile launchers.
Tank busters are a unit we go back and forth with me and my friend. I mean, on paper they look like they do a lot of damage, and they can.
They blew up my buster.
They can do a ton of damage, or they can just do nothing, which is I don't know how it's a thing, but they do.
Yeah, it's the orc life, man. They're swingy.
Yeah. So what happened?
I went first, and I made all my turn 1 charges, which doesn't happen all that often.
Turn 1 charges. What did you charge into?
The Sanguinary Guard charged into Gaz. Oh, 1 unit of Sanguinary Guard did not make that. No, yeah, they did. Everything made their turn 1 charge. It was a unit of boys got charged, plus like a bunch of smashing guns and stuff.
You charged a bunch of smashing guns on turn 1?
Well, I had cursors that got in there because I shot his screen dead.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess I'll go through the phases, right? I moved into the midboard. My impulsor went around the side to be in the middle across from his grot tank things.
Yeah.
And then he had like a parking lot area of smash guns. That got charged by my incursors. God bless forward deploy units, boys. At least 1 unit is mandatory if you play Blood Angels.
Oh, I think 1 unit is mandatory for every Space Marine list. It's just
otherwise
too good of an option.
Otherwise, you get scammed by Nurglings. So yeah, they charged the shooting. I killed Gaz on turn 1, which was pretty funny. I killed him I did 4 wounds to him in the charge phase with Hammer Wrath.
Okay, I like that stratagem. People don't look at it because it sucked last edition or But this edition, I mean, it's just a straight what beat their tough or equal to their toughness, which is, I mean,
Yeah, it's like roll equal to or higher or
I
something.
mean, it's tough on Gaz, but
It was 6s. I just high rolled. I knew it was my only way to do it, and I was like, all right, 1 CP, let's see. And
yeah. Okay.
so that worked.
Did you shoot him at all in the shooting phase?
Yeah. I took 4 off in the shooting phase. I did 4 via miracle in the charge phase.
And then he died.
And then I did 4 in the melee phase, and he died. And then he fought on death and killed my lieutenant through a 3-up invuln and something else, like half a sanguinary guard squad by fighting on death and splitting attacks and killed all my shit.
Sure.
Gaskell's a bed, man. So, yeah, that was that. And then...
Was that pretty much the game?
Kind of, yeah, it was pretty much just clean up from there. Gaskell died, I charged a bunch of his stuff, and then I just like spent some time cleaning up, and that was it.
Seems like, I don't know, that deployment seems like a major misplay on his part. I don't understand.
Yeah, he said the same thing. He was like, he wasn't too happy with how that kind of spun out.
I'd be happy.
Yeah, I think in his turn, like 2 smash-a-guns were able to shoot instead of 10, because between like tagging and trapping and shooting, killing them.
Feels like a very 8th edition list.
Yeah, it was. He had like really good success earlier in the edition playing like a while we stand we fight focus list. He was kind of just like testing some janky stuff in this tournament and in that game. He played my list, which is like 40 or 50 games deep now, so it's like really tuned. So
a lot of experience. That's what matters the most. That we talked about before. It's not just about making lists or reading reviews. It's about getting the reps in the game, because 40K has so many little things that you just forget. And that one thing you forget murders you.
Yeah, you just die. Especially with the unit like Sanguinary Guard, which are like the most insane offense per point in the game. But like, even though they have a 2-up and they're -1 to be hit in melee, if you like mess around and let your opponent's like threats get into them, they kind of just die because they can't be transhumaned anymore. And they only have a 6-up feeling pain and not a 5-up. And
mortal wounds from psychic powers, shit like that.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, TJ. Shout out to TJ.
Yep.
Killed just all of them.
Yeah, I ran into that in just a home game here last week where my Sanguinary Guard, like for some reason, 4 of them died to just a barrage of maximum amount of mortal wounds from Necrons of all things, and it's Satan and Silent King, and it was just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, that's one Necron list I'm not too scared of. I was actually talking to some people in a Discord today about the Silent King. It doesn't really bother my Blood Angel list because he just gets Judas-seared and then I fight him and then he dies.
Wow, he has the same ability.
Yeah, I know. So, but we fight at normal initiative and 1 unit of Sanguinary Guard just kill him. So,
or just ignore him. Man.
Yeah, I can do that too. Usually when people build around models like that, I mean, this is like kind of like a mental gaming, but usually people bring big model like that. They get real sad when it dies and they tilt a little bit. So if you can take that out, you can usually put your opponent off their game. And
yeah, he has a pretty big damage output though. But if you can,
it's real scary.
yeah, I feel like opponents who know what they're doing with him would probably keep him back. Just let him shoot you if you're planning on being aggressive. But
yeah, for sure.
So that was probably a pretty huge victory there.
Yeah, that first game was like, I think it was because this place wasn't doing paint scores. It was like a soft score that got applied at the end.
Okay.
So that game was 90-6 or 7.
Painful.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
maybe 8. I don't remember.
Necrons you played at my place.
Yeah, just like you have, they score primary once and like a couple points of a secondary, and that's it.
Yeah. So did you just play? I mean, you deployed those incursors super aggressively. It sounded like, and you just won first turn.
So I deployed them to move block Gaz, knowing full well they would die if I went second, but they would have achieved their purpose. I do that with the incursors a lot. Ideally, they pretty much fill a dual role where their main objective is to move block, and if I get to go first, woo, exciting.
Right.
But most of the time, they're there to just get mostly in the way. I find that a lot of people have been skimping on, or not skimping, but a lot of people just either don't have access to, or they've directly ignoring fly in favor of just like raw power units, things like Blade Guard veterans and things like that. They can't jump over incursors, so they get just stuck. And then if they're in the midfield where my incursors were, say they charge my incursors, then they're dead because my Sanguinary Guard are going to charge them.
Right, like Connor, like with Eldar don't have that problem usually.
Yeah,
Everything flies, which is
you
good.
just jump over me with
Yeah.
your flip belts or your
Yeah,
Eldar shenanigans.
bikes or your transports or your hawks or something like that. Which is, I mean, it's fly is you take it for granted sometimes, and you're like, oh, I don't really need it. Oh crap, I'm screwed by terrain.
Yeah, I used to take it for granted, but like both the people I live with, Joe and Brandon, play armies that are pretty like light on fly, so they like make fun of me all the time that I don't know the terrain rules because I have infantry with fly, and between breachable and fly, I just don't care about any of them. I just disregard them all.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, the only thing you have to be aware of is, of course, moving over enemies in the charge phase, or I mean, the terrain in the charge phase. So
yeah. Sometimes you just have
some
to
terrain
pay attention when you're going downwards, but I'm
containers,
almost always like bottom flooring it, so that
Mhm.
doesn't really ever matter.
Yeah, or it's containers or something. But other than that, yeah, I mean, you don't see containers usually in the very middle of the board.
Yeah, and even if there's containers, you can use the vertical engagement to fight people, and that's usually fine.
Yeah,
So between those two, it doesn't usually have too much of an impact. But yeah, that was the Arcs game. It was real quick. My opponent was an absolute like joy to play,
that's cool.
so that was
Well,
fun.
that's always a benefit. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
I find that Orc players are generally a fun game.
Yeah, I haven't had a lot of bad opponents. I mean, I've been playing tournaments for a long time, and really, most of the bad opponents are few and far between.
Yeah, I've had way more contentious like casual games at the local shop than I have had tournament games by like a pretty staggering margin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You start reading rules, people get upset because they didn't, and then it gets ugly in a hurry.
well,
Yeah.
I think in the age of social media, more will 40K entering the age of social media anyway. It's been a slow process here.
Yeah,
But if your opponent that is terrible to be around and miserable, it's going to spread. So people are going to be like, "Wow, I played in this event," and they're gonna learn that you're not fun to play against, or you don't play well. I mean, in
right.
terms of like, you don't play correctly
Mhm.
and things like that. And you're gonna get more of a reputation. So people are more on their better behavior, that's a benefit of GW being more involved and also more streaming.
Yeah, I think one of the big things I do is if like there's a mistake or if there's a dispute, I pretty much always just take whatever's the less beneficial outcome for me, and that
Mhm.
seems to keep my opponents at ease, even if it's not necessarily 100% like what I think is right in that. If
Yeah,
I'm just like, hey man, that's fine. If there's
yeah,
a discrepancy, I'm like, oh, like I roll dice and I'm like, oh, that's three threes I hit, and he's like, no, one of those is a two. I'm like, all right, it was a two. And I just keep going, like,
right. My general rule is if for takebacks, or some people are really strict about takebacks. I think 40K is. I mean, the game is not is the rules are not exactly precise, and the
right,
rules are not So you really got to give it the benefit of the doubt. Like, and my thing is, if you haven't rolled dice that matter,
right,
do whatever you want. I don't really care. The only problem is like when movement gets wonky, you don't know where stuff is. I have to
right,
put a dice down, something like that. But like you're saying, you take the worst of the results. Like if I roll, you know, if something comes up that, oh, we forgot a rule,
right,
and maybe like 1.5 of my guys will die because of that rule, I'll just take off two guys.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, stuff like that. It makes the game more fun, and at the end of the day, no one's winning money from 40K really.
Yeah,
So
it's not the
money. So
it's not
just
the should not be the motivation.
tone it down. It's
Yeah,
fine.
everybody chill. We're all here for just the competitive aspect,
Yeah.
and if you're not, then I don't know what you're doing, man.
So then your next opponent, round two, was Andrew Kloss. Close.
Yes. So
what is his list like?
he was playing Ultramarines. He had like an unfortunate like misreading of the codex. He thought that like captain and lieutenant auras got the chapter master treatment where you like give it to one unit and it's not an aura anymore. So he didn't take any captains or lieutenants. He was playing just
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, he was just playing Tigurius and Barbarian. And yeah, he was playing like the Xenos experience, no rerolls.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then it was like a million bikes, but no apothecary. No, not bikes, the ATVs, but like no apothecary, which is
Like
like
more
weird.
than one unit?
Yeah, like 3 units. 3 units of like two or three or some combination thereof or something.
With what, like multi-meltas or the heavy?
1 unit with multi meltas, two had the many shots gun.
Wait, so you had
Yeah,
three units?
he had 3 units.
Okay.
And then he had two Invictors
A lot.
and like some amount of troops, 2 units of Eradicators, and a unit of Vanguard Vets.
All right. So basically, he just took an army of new stuff and put it together. All right.
Yeah, he was like, these units all got buffed and put them in an army.
That's cool. I mean, those units are all Space Marines are tough to give people. Like for Eldar, I can give someone advice on what is terrible to take for Eldar.
Right.
Like almost all of that shelf. Don't use almost any of that. but with Marines, I'll be like, probably good.
The problem with the like Space Marines thing is it's like you get like choice paralysis and you end up making a list with no synergy, and then it just like falls apart. This game is actually a pretty good example of that because he took like a bunch of good units, right? And then I took like very specific units that are all good with synergy. And so this was a diagonal deployment, that like weird, like really long one.
Yeah, the one where you have to measure to the middle of the board and then
like outwards.
Yeah, it's not very.
No, not the corners one, not the one we did at your tournament in round 3. The other one where it's like diagonal. You each get like a weird. Yeah, that it's like the.
I hate card, man. It sucks.
Yeah.
Very. I don't like using that one or the weird short, long waves deployment.
Yeah, the mini hammer. That one's terrible too. But yeah, so it was that deployment. He didn't really have a ton of options. I did a similar thing with the Incursors where I like line them up in a way that they'll tag a bunch of nonsense turn 1.
Okay.
And then I lined up my Inceptors across from his Vanguard Vets.
Okay.
And then I went first again.
Remember, folks, if you want to get really good at 40K, just go first.
Yeah. Sometimes going first is really important. It was in this game.
Yeah.
So I went first, and I killed all his Vanguard Vets with my Plasma Inceptors in one go.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
So they didn't have Storm Shields?
They had Storm Shields, but 2 damage, 30 shot Plasma Inceptors don't give a shit about your Storm Shields.
Oh, 30 shots. Yeah, that's a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right, because he's over 6 models, so...
Yeah, so 10 wounds get through, and that unit's goodbye. So that was pretty much what happened there. And then he left an Invictor. He did the redeploy thing pregame, but he left an Invictor in mid. So I used the Sanguinary Guard to like shoot some stuff, and then they just blew him to smithereens.
Yeah.
And that was also good because it gave my characters a leapfrog, because sometimes what'll happen is like the Sanguinary Guard will like launch forwards, and the Sanguinary Guard, the character blob is like an inch back from them, so it becomes a 10-inch charge, and that's like kind of yikes. So every once in a while, I'll have both Sanguinary Guard units forward and like 3 characters in the middle, and it's like, oh, that was a mistake. So you got to be a little careful about that when you're playing the Blood Angel Death Ball list. But so I went first, and I killed like 900 points worth of stuff on turn 1 between Sanguinary Guard melees and shooting and this and that. I tied up a bunch of objectives. And that's the mission, like the weird data scan secondary, where like you get
scan like, yeah.
No, it's not scan all of them. Like you start scanning an objective, and then you get a secondary point for every objective you control at the top of your next command phase. It's real weird, but it's really good when you can just beat people off objectives with your powerful melee units.
Yeah,
so I maxed it in 3 turns. I got 5 a turn, and it was.
Being able to hold those center objectives is a key part of 9th edition. That's for sure. That's why Blade Guard veterans are so popular.
But yeah, Blade Guard veterans, things like Sanguinary Guard are really good at that. Right. So yeah, that game was another brutal one. It was like 90 to like 6 or something.
I remember playing Blood Angels. I mean, a lot during each edition, and that's what happens sometimes. People aren't prepared just for the outright devastation that assaulting Blood Angel unit can do to them.
Yeah, I give people the spiel before every game, like, hey, this banner gives me +2 move. I'm going to move 14. I can reroll my charges, and also they're +1. This unit has 40 attacks that hit on 2s.
It's still tough to get a first turn charge off if they don't want you to. So they must so to recap, he forward deployed the Invictor and just left it there.
He forward deployed both Invictors, but he used like the Ultramarine stratagem that lets you redeploy units, and he pulled a bunch of stuff off the front line, but he left an Invictor in middle because he couldn't do that and not compromise like bikes.
Wow.
Because he like leaned into the go first, I guess, and then he had to.
That is, sometimes you do that, and if you don't go first, pay the price.
Yeah. So that was that game. It was a rough go for the Ultramarines, but I talked to my opponent at the end of the game, and he's going to make some changes to his list and get some rerollers in there and get some redemptors in there instead of the invictors and all that good stuff. So
yeah, invictors are okay. They're just, I mean, they're good. I mean, like your friend, Joseph List, he does well with those. But
yeah, I mean he switched
he
to
swapped them out.
yeah, he swapped too. He was the invictors seem great until you swap 2 redemptors, and then you're like, oh, okay, never mind.
They're almost the same price, right?
Yeah, they're real close.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not the same price, like exactly.
Well, because the redemptors are
like
185. They're 185. I don't know but it doesn't really matter. Either way, yeah, redemptors they're just higher toughness, and just the weapons I think are better.
Yeah, the weapons are much better. They're inherently -1 damage, so like shooting.
Yeah, right. It's not a dreadnought anymore. The Invictor was never a dreadnought, so it didn't get the benefits of the
Yeah, did not get Duty Eternal.
That sucks.
Yep.
Oh, all right. So then you had 2 really high scoring games. It looks like then you faced your teammate Joseph.
Yes, I played my boy Joe in round 3.
Yeah, two BD close combat armies with the Templars. So I imagine he knew your tricks and you knew his tricks. So what happened there?
So we deployed pretty standard stuff. This tournament had like a lot of terrain, so I was able to hide the Sanguinary Guard for the most part.
That's important.
Yeah, but he slid a unit of Eradicators like way out on a flank, pretty much unscreened, so that if he went first, he could move forward and shoot. And it would have been 5 Eradicators going into a Sanguinary Guard unit, which would have been pretty rough.
Yeah, that -5, pretty much.
Yeah, no, they would have died. But I deployed a unit of Incursors right in front of them.
Oh, okay.
And then I went first.
Oh man! This twist.
Yeah, got him at the last second. So I was able to tag the Incursor, tag his Eradicators. He was really good about positioning everything else, so a lot of his other stuff was farther back.
Okay.
But I was able to tag his Impulsors because those were on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, an Impulsor I was able to tag, I should say. And then because of how he had it positioned, he had to use Emergency Disembark to get out of it, so he lost 2 Blade Guard on the way out.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's always dangerous with those super expensive units. There's nothing you can do except hopefully not roll ones.
Yeah, and then, I mean, as a good example of those Redemptors being good, I shot all 5 of my Plasma Inceptors into one of them and only took it down to 3 wounds.
Mm.
But then, because the Dice Gods are cruel creatures, I killed his other Redemptor with Angelus Bolt Guns. Which is not very likely to happen if you look at math, but happened in that game.
No, I mean, I guess you could do,
you pop the reroll wound strat, you got all doctrines, it's...
Okay, I guess.
It got there, it worked.
I mean, if you're in Tactical Doctrine, at least you're -2 AP. So
I mean, one unit was in all the doctrines, so it worked for them. Okay. So, and then the other unit was just AP1, and they ended up doing like 2 damage to it, or 3 or 4, whatever. It was like an amount of damage.
That's rough.
Yep. So yeah, he bricked the saves, and then in his turn, like basically, I killed that Redemptor with bolt guns, and then the Dice Gods were like, "All right, fuck you" for the rest of the game. Couldn't pass saves on my Sanguinary Guard. Couldn't pass a lot of stuff. In the second turn, I basically had a unit of 8 Sanguinary Guard unsupported in his lines, and he charged me with his Bike Chaplain and 2 units of 5 Assault Intercessors.
Yeah.
He swung with the Bike Chaplain first and killed only 3 Sanguinary Guard.
Oh.
And then I interrupted, and the remaining 5 killed both units of Assault Intercessors. So that was pretty good.
That's pretty it's pretty surprising there.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like you were, so did Dante die and everything too, or what?
By the end of the game, I lost most stuff.
Okay.
Because like that was just how the game played out. I had like a really devastating alpha. Defensively, I just like couldn't pass saves and stuff was going like really sideways, but I was able to like basically smother him on primary for like the first 3 turns. And he had Line Breaker, and I was able to prevent that just, I think, wholesale. I don't think he scored Line Breaker.
What was he going to use to score Line Breaker with?
I think his goal was to go like around and or past me if...
Like with the Impulsor, I guess. And
because I usually launch pretty hard into my opponent's deployment zone, and I play the game with like, once I'm there, you can do whatever you want, because I'm going to just max Line Breaker. I'm going to hold your objectives, and then we're done here.
Right.
But yeah, it ended up being, I scored 87 because I lost the Line Breaker for a round, and he scored like 45 or something like that.
Wow.
if that was one of those games where if there was a turn 6, it would have been like 80. I would have been like 90 to like 85. It would have been like right there. But
a lot of points.
yeah, because I was dead. I was out of things. I blew my absolute, everything I got to what I had, and then it was like, all right, let's see how bad this gets after this.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a lot of pain on each side. I mean, so so you had a good tournament, you won the event. This is what, your third in a row or fourth in a row?
Third in a row, sir.
Third in a row. Okay. Yep. Could have been fourth if I didn't have to cancel my RTT, but
yeah, next weekend.
It's what it is. Unfortunately, I'm gonna do a bunch of. I'm gonna start doing streaming again here with people coming over. So
that makes sense.
One-on-one events.
It's all good. I mean, we got that huge GT that we're going to. Me and the Vindicta boys. We're going in December 12th and 13th, I think it is.
That's in PA, right?
Yeah, it's in like Dixon City, Scranton, over there.
Yeah, it's the adventure game stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that should be fun.
See what
one of those events where there's if it goes, there's so many like high level players going that I'd be happy with a single digit placing, let alone
who's showing up that you know of.
TJ ran through the list last time. It was like Sean Naden and Brad and TJ and
Brad showing up there.
Okay, that's what he said.
That's a long drive for Brad.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was just TJ rattling off people. I don't know.
It's a 5-hour drive for me to get to Scranton, let alone I'm in PA.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas. What'd you say?
Yeah,
is this still going down?
I mean, yeah, we got like 3 confirmations. We were there this weekend, and they were like, "Yep, definitely." So
sweet, that's what's up.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely seems a little strong, but
that's gonna be crazy.
No, it's not definitely.
Yeah, definitely is a little aggressive, but
it's slightly aggressive. I thought that Pennsylvania had like a "don't leave your house" order.
Well, there's not. It's a suggestion. The problem is, like, for my place, it's different. I'm in a private residence. I can do what I want, but a business, I mean, sure, I guess you're taking a risk. You're just taking a risk. I'm not going to go into too much of that, but you're taking a risk with people posting on social media about you. That's all I'm going to say. It's if you don't care about the risk and you can mitigate that, it can definitely be there. I've seen stores shut down because people posting negative shit about them being open. So is what it is.
Yeah.
But hopefully it goes off without a hitch, and someone wins that I can talk to online.
Yeah.
So if someone says I don't want to talk to Dom and Connor, make sure they don't win.
Yeah, make sure you put them in, Anthony.
Yeah, don't let them win.
Hit them with the sanguinary guard, man.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal, right? I want to hit everybody with the sanguinary guard. And I want
Is there anybody going to that tournament who you feel you have a bad matchup against?
Yeah, TJ. TJ is my nightmare. So
okay, yeah, bro, I played TJ. That list sucks.
Yeah.
So, and now my local practice partner has picked up that same list, and I'm just like, damn, can't get away from this thing.
Yeah, what that list is not fun.
Terrible. It sucks to play it. You're just like, what does it do? It just doesn't die and smites. Ugh.
Yeah. The other problem with that list, right, is not that list is an awful matchup, is that TJ is an absolute monster. So like between the piloting and the list itself, it's the nightmare. It's okay. Like I said, in that event, I'm happy with like the nice single digit. If I'm like 9 and up, that's perfect. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, we've had TJ's over here a lot. He's probably, I think TJ's still going to come over for the RTT that I canceled.
Right.
And I'm just gonna find him some opponents.
Yeah.
Play on stream.
Yeah, just do
games. Because I don't mind people coming over. I just don't want to deal with 8 cars outside my house and my neighbors going like, well,
"What's that?
What's going on over there?" I'm like,
yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
So, but yeah, so people were talking about TJ's Magnus Exalted Lord of Change list. I don't think anyone's really playing that. That's the thing, man. I think I see a lot of these chaos lists playing a lot of Slanesh stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to pilot that stuff because you advance charge. I mean, I used to play chaos, right? Like my secret hope is that they put out Emperor's Children army, and then I can spend a bunch of money.
Too. I want to. I do want to play my Emperor's Children. I mean, I play them here casually, but I could build them with just a small patrol. But I want to go full list.
As far as what you're saying, Connor, the other matchup that terrifies me is I still to this day I've beat them twice in tournaments, but I really don't think I have a very good Harlequins matchup. And I know Naden is like the Galaxy Brain Eldari man, so
Dude, his list is weird, man.
I don't even know what it is.
It's always
I know that
weird.
It's him, and that's like what I'm concerned about. And it's
Yeah.
him playing Eldari, and now I'm like, oh boy.
I mean, Naden will just like roll a bunch of D20 and pick units from the codex, and he'll show up at your event with like random stuff. You're like, is this even still a unit?
Yeah.
And he's like, I just won the event. I guess it is. I'm like,
You know what's weird about that dude though is like you like look at his list and you're like, what the hell is this?
that's what I'm saying.
But then you like listen to him like explain how it works, and then you're like, oh, I need to play with that because that makes like perfect sense, and like it seems like a really good idea. But then you try to play with it, and you're like, what is this?
Yeah. You're back to your original.
Burgles. What is that?
Well, because those kind of lists are everything has a purpose at a specific time in the battle. If you don't understand high level equations, you're not going to be able to handle it.
I was thinking
I don't even think it's like exaggerating to be like it's like some 4D chess like to like brain power requirement stuff going on. It's really odd. It's
I was thinking that gif of Zach Galifianakis doing math.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like we need someone needs to Photoshop that man's face over that gif.
Yeah.
I always say it wrong. GIF, yeah,
that's it.
Or meme or whatever. But yeah, it's weird, man. I know I hope they stream that tournament. I would be so interested in watching some of those matches because there's so many top guys going.
Yeah, it should be good. And then my new codex won't count then, but it will be out then. So I'm gonna be playing. That's gonna be the last tournament I play under like Index Blood Angels rules.
I mean, at this point, man, you're like my dark horse to win.
I hope. Having
seen you play and talk to you a little bit on these shows, I'm like, this guy. Like, I think that you remind me of watching, and I talked to him for like another podcast a couple of times. Thomas Hegstrom Oki.
I know the name vaguely.
He's like a West Coast Blood Angels guy, and he it's like a very similar kind of build, like the Stephen Box sort of what's the word? Like that theory of like not throwing your army away and using it defensively and just waiting the whole time.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you can just wait. You can just chill.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I always want to do that, and then my opponent just like hands me 1,000 points worth of stuff, and I'm like, all right, well, that's gotta die.
Right. But then I think the good thing is you understand the requirement for that in certain situations, which you seem to capitalize on because you win tournaments.
Yeah, it's the balance, right? I mean, I used to fight, right? I used to do like Muay Thai and MMA, and like the whole life of that is like knowing to when to pick your openings to go,
and then when to just punch somebody in the face.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta hit them.
You gotta hit him with the Masvidal flying knee.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, sometimes it's got to get crazy, you know.
So, moving on briefly from the tournament, we're going to talk for a few minutes about the new Blood Angel stuff that's coming out. We're going to go to another guest. So we both been pretty excited about the previews for Blood Angels. It's not a lot, but we know the codex is going to be leaked probably on Saturday.
Right, that's probably
that'll be cool. We'll get to see all the stratagems, like we talked about. We don't anticipate a lot of point changes. Don't anticipate a lot of like unit changes really, unless there's a new unit in there, which they haven't really mentioned.
They did do it for Space Wolves, so who knows?
Well, but there's a lot of errors in the codex too. So there was a lot of point errors. So it made sense to change some stuff. Yeah. Like they had weird points for things that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, like they just added a Primaris unit. They added the Hounds of Mordecai.
Yeah, right. Which is just a Reaver unit with an upgrade kit. So Blood Angels, their kit is going to be the Blood Angel Intercessors because there's a new kit for it. New kit.
Oh, the Death Company?
Yeah. It's just Intercessors with upgrade sprue, which it's not that useful, honestly. But the cool part is what I've reading is that it makes it sound like the Death Company Intercessors will be able to mix and match their weapons.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
with like bolters and close combat weapons, which could be pretty cool. I mean, it's not the best unit just because of the inherent limitations of Death Company.
Yeah, I mean, Death Company intercessors with chainswords are like kind of no joke. They get like 7 attacks each or something ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I mean they get a lot of attacks. It's just
Pretty low quality, but like it's a lot of them.
yeah, do you need what they do is the problem. I mean,
I mean,
if
I
they
don't.
kind of
Listen,
buff,
but
if they get the stratagem back with the pregame move, that's pretty good.
yeah, there's worlds where I consider Death Company then if they get Forlorn Fury back. But they're just really expensive and they need to do so much work for them to kind of be worth that.
Yep. Yeah. So then we also got so we got in the first preview yesterday, we got the stratagem Red Rampage, which is radically altered from what Red Rampage did before.
Yeah.
For those who didn't read the article, Red Rampage used to be a character got plus D3 attacks for the face. It's pretty much all it did. It was cool. It was good on Librarian, Dreadnought, Mephiston, all sorts of characters that have really high quality attacks.
Yeah, I love that.
Now it is use a stratagem in your command phase. If the Assault Doctrine is active until your next command phase, each Blood Angel model from your army, if it makes attack with pistol or melee weapon on unmodified 6 to wound, increase the AP value by 1. It's the same stratagem that every other chapter has gotten, such as all the other supplements. It's not that interesting. It's sort of expected. It is only 1 CP versus 2, the other ones, but I don't know if we'll ever see it used. I don't know. It's not that I don't. Maybe if you have a bunch of chain swords.
Yeah, I saw some people getting really hype about this in like some of the discords that I'm in. And I think I like as far as like my army, how it plays right now, I would never use the stratagem once.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't apply to any weapons that need it. You're going to make my swords power like AP5. And you're just they're AP4 and they already bounced it in. Like it's
unless, like I said, unless you're using a lot of chain swords.
Yeah, that'd be applicable. But usually the things with chain swords are like Death Company units, and they have to make it to turn 3.
Yep.
So that's difficult.
Maybe Vanguard with Lightning Claws. I mean, AP3 if on 6s, and you get to re-roll wounds because that could be an option. But again, you need it's only 1 CP, so
you go to AP4 on 6s.
Yeah, it might be okay. It depends. It's based on your list, but unfortunately, Blood Angels don't need Vanguard veterans with Lightning Claws. So
yeah, that's not really our.
So then the other trait, we got the Warlord trait for Artisan of War, which for those, again, it's you give it to your Warlord. It can then take a free special issue relic, such as the Adamantium Mantle, Artificer Armor, Mastercrafted Weapon, and digital weapons. It is in addition to a normal relic. So it's basically, it's the same stratagem that the other supplements just got as well, but it allows Space Marine characters to have 2 Warlord traits and 2 relics. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that one's pretty good. You can make a real Smash Man with like Imperium Sword and then this to give you 2 relics. And then like you use some combination of those relics to like get a little bit of defense, or like you get the wings to ignore Overwatch if they bring those back, and like spooky weapon.
Yeah.
You can do that sort of stuff. I mean, it's a straight upgrade for me right now.
Right.
Because Rights of War is what I'm currently using, and that stratagem is, I mean, that Warlord trait is absolutely nothing right now.
It basically is the old Artisan of War because of the Mastercrafted Weapon.
Right.
With additional options.
Yeah, I mean, I can use it just like straight right now. If I were to use it like today, I would use the Adamantine Mantle on my lieutenant to give him a 5-up Feel No Pain in addition to the Armor Indomitus. And that's like awesome. That'd be great.
Crazy saves there. So then the other thing we just got today was a lot of Crusade stuff. I like Crusade. I think it's fun, but again, you can't really talk about it because it's whatever you feel like using. There's not a lot of discussion on that. But the cool thing is they brought this totally new stratagem called Angel Sacrifice. It's an epic deed stratagem, which does work with Dante's special ability.
Yeah.
So it could be free. It's only 1 CP. But basically what you do is you use it at the fight phase. You select 1 Blood Angel character except a vehicle, i.e. except a Librarian Dreadnought,
right,
army. Until the end of the phase, each enemy unit that is within engagement range of that character has to target that character when it's selected to fight. So if you have like a unit of 20 possessed for some reason fighting your lieutenant and your sanguinary guard, you can be like, Angel Sacrificed. All 20 possessed have to obliterate that guy.
Yeah. And based on the wording, it's only stuff that's engaged, like only models that are in engagement range of that model. So it gains the most
Let's see.
like applicableness against like big scary stuff.
Is within, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's worded if a model in that unit is within engage range. Okay. But
yeah, those models must make.
Okay. So a few models might get to attack, but if you're careful with your jump pack placement.
Yeah, where it's great is into something like Blade Guard Veterans or like the Catan or the Silent King.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, on Dante, you could use this for 1 CP, and then he's just going to die because he's going to get hit by a million things. But then for free, you fight on death. So he activates anyway, and he saved your unit for getting hit, all for 1 CP.
Yeah.
Really, really, really strong.
Yeah, it's phenomenal with a character that can survive. Like I said, and we were talking about in Discord today with I like Sanguinor. Because
right, yeah, no, that's a good one too.
People come and charge you. Sanguinor just shows up wherever you want him, in position of wherever you want him. And then he's just like, fight me. And you're like, the opponent's like, what the hell?
Yeah. No, it's brutal. I wish I had a way to get like this stratagem alone, in my opinion, makes him worth strongly considering now.
Yeah.
But like right now, I think he's like a cute bit of like jank. I think with this stratagem, he becomes like really good, and I'm like frustrated trying to think of a way to make him fit, but it just doesn't work right now. So I think I'm going to just take my power increase and carry on. But they also changed the icon of the angel a good bit.
Yeah, right. Why don't you go into that?
So the icon of the angel used to read that units within 3 can reroll 1 or both dice for the charge. Now it's any unit within 6 can reroll charge rolls. So definitely still take it, even though rerolling charge rolls is explicitly worse than 1 or both dice. Because if you roll the 6 and the 1, you just pick up that 1 and reroll it. That's a nice easy life. You make charges real easily. Yeah. And now you have to reroll the whole thing. But it's units within 6, so you have to be a little less crazy about positioning to get some effectiveness out of it.
Okay, so I think that's
all the new stuff.
That's all we're gonna talk about for Blood Angels right now. I said you don't have any events. You don't have any events till the 12th.
Yeah, this weekend and next weekend we are no events.
Yeah, so it was great talking to you again. Hopefully Blood Angels. We should have a lot more to talk about with Blood Angels next week.
Yeah, I mean, come Saturday we should get the reveal of the stuff, and if not, then we'll know when the codex comes out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, appreciate you coming on, and probably have you on again once probably in December.
Yeah, December, or if you guys want to do like a little run through of the Blood Angels Codex when it comes out, we can do that.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. We can do some stuff like that. Maybe Dark Eldar will get some love as well.
Oh yeah,
Dark Eldar player on here.
We're ready to spend so much money on Dark Eldar.
Yeah. My boy Brandon, that is a Death Guard gamer at heart, was really eyeballing those Dark Eldar.
Dude, the Incubi alone are like the models are worth it. You know what I mean?
They're crazy.
All right.
All right, have a good one, guys.
All right, man.
All right, man. Catch you later.
Appreciate it. All right. So. All right. So now we got to wait for Mate to turn on his camera. You're seeing a little blank screen there. Let me turn on. There he is. Well, and that's something I feel like a lot of more inexperienced players, not necessarily the Incarn, but the whole what you said about getting your points back. I think we touched on this last week too. Is it's a bit of a strategic fallacy that you need to get your points back with a unit. It doesn't really matter if the unit gets its points back. It's about what does it do.
I'm getting a message from a viewer on Facebook. Mate is on mute right now.
Oh crap! Wow. Oh, that's terrible. Okay. Yeah, that's annoying. Okay.
I think probably since the onset.
Damn, that's frustrating.
He basically said the Incarn isn't worth it and don't take it.
Okay, guys, sorry about that. You just us talking to each other. All right.
It's okay. We're good. Oh, here.
It wasn't you, Mate. Oh,
he's gone.
Hey, come back. He thought.
Damn, everything is failing. No.
Thought it was him.
We have. Yeah, he said. My buddy said no audio all interview.
Yeah, it was me.
Also, Dan, what's up? I thought we were gonna talk. Dan's who's watching right now. Let's talk. Anyway, I'm using the platform to my advantage.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do then is
Man, that's nice. He was just talking about he wanted to play Harlequins because they're
Yeah, he was playing Harlequins.
he plays Chaos.
He came from Europe. His army got destroyed.
He's Hungarian. He's really good at Warhammer. He hates Eldar but plays them or something. It's crazy. Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, hold on. That was
No, we appreciate that, Dan. That was pretty clutch. That would have been a tragedy to do the whole thing without knowing.
Oh, that's super annoying. I mean,
There's only a few minutes.
problem is I muted him so we could switch.
There he is.
He's back. All right.
Dan,
Let me
Dan, let us know. What's up?
yeah, let me
Can you say something?
Sorry guys. Thanks for letting us know. That's annoying. I failed yet again.
No. Dom, you're a success story.
I know. I guess.
Look at your trophy case of models. You're clearly a success story.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the case.
It's
All
tough.
right. Okay. All right. So we've talked about things that no one heard. We said all these secret stuff. Mate was telling us how to win 100% with Harlequins.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's gone.
Now I know.
It's never going to be seen again. It's completely.
Right. Thanks for the stream. Goodbye, guys.
He said so many good things about TJ. We'll never say those ever again. So
No way.
Sorry, TJ. So let's go into the event since we weren't talking about that yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Unbelievable. All right. So your list, real quick, was a lot of Harlequins. You took a Shadow Seer, you took a Troop Master. I'm not going to go into every detail. People can look at the lists. I have that posted.
It's pretty standard. Basically, the only thing is the Incorn, which is not the standard thing, and the Domino Shroud and the Shadow Seer, which is different from the usual list.
Yep. Yeah, for the extra movement, it's pretty cool. So you took like what 5 units of min, 5 units of 5 with all fusion pistols.
Yeah, 2 embraces in each one.
5 transports and a bunch of Skyweavers.
Yep, and I had 1 Dead Jester.
Yes, the Death Jester there too, with Death Jester, Shadow Seer, Troop Master, and Yinkarn. Okay, so a lot of Harlequin troops, a lot of fast transports with a lot of melta-guns and character support. Pretty standard, except for the Yinkarn. So the actual event. Let's go into your matches then. So I'm showing here.
Actually, I have my cheat sheet here, so I know my games.
Yeah. So what I've seen here, you played Anthony Fitzgerald round 1 with Death Guard. So
Yes.
why don't you tell us about that?
It was a good game. It was a easy game, I guess, because Harlequins don't have a hard time with that guard because they are so slow, of course. And so he had 3 Blight Haulers, 2 Demon Prince, 3 minimum units of Plague Marines, and 1 bigger squad in a drill for the Plague Bomb, and 7 or 8 man Blight Lords, I think.
Yeah.
The mission was at 31, which is the long edge side with 4 objectives in the middle and 1 in each deployment.
Okay.
Basically, he took raise the brenners, bring it down, and engage, I think.
Okay, pretty standard for Death Guard.
Yeah, because he had 3 objectives next to his deployment zone. He could raise the banner easily turn 1.
Yeah.
And for me, actually, for the 5 games during the weekend, I pretty much took the same exact secondaries, except for 1 game. I took engage because Harlequins are fast. I took Brigand down because he had like
a lot of vehicles,
monsters and vehicles, and scramblers because it's easy.
Yep. Yeah, for your fast units.
Yeah, so I pretty much deployed everything backlines because with Harlequins you can redeploy 4 units if you want to before the turn begins, and with the minus 6-inch range to shoot, he went first eventually, and he had like 1 Malta shot and 1 missile launchers. We shoot to the Starweaver. It didn't do anything turn 1.
Yeah,
he raised some banners.
They have a natural 4-up invuln on the Starweaver or 5-up?
They are -1 to hit and 4-up.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
I didn't use the -1 to wound because I was like, if he shoot down 1 Starweaver, that's not a big deal.
No, there's cheap transports.
Yeah. So next turn, and he had the drill and the Plague Marines in Deep Strike and the Blight Lords also, which I played him in the RTT 2 weeks before this event, and we played the same game. And I told him like, might not want to put the stuff in deep strike against Harlequins because I can say where they come in the board because I can zone out pretty much all the board with the units. And he put the Terminators in deep strike. And the second turn, the first turn I went out with the Skyweavers and the fusion guns. I killed the 2 Blight Haulers, and the Troopmaster disembarked after moving with the transport, murdered the unit of Plague Marines on the objective, and went back into the transport as you usually do. So basically I had 4 objectives after turn 1 and covered the whole board.
Yeah.
Against that card, you don't really need the -16 phase. You don't want to stay that close.
No, especially with their main abilities, those flamers and -6-inch range, they're not doing anything.
Yeah, and I basically made the play that my bikes and the Starweavers was cornered there on the edge of the board. So second turn, the drill could only came in his own deployment zone, or I left a spot where there was 3 Starweavers next to the Shadow Sphere, the Domino Shroud. So if he comes there, I just pop the Domino Shroud there, and the Flamers don't do anything.
Yep.
He decided to go there, and he made a move with the Demon Princes for the Shadow Sphere. So actually, I just teleported it away, save 1 transport. I misplayed a bit. I didn't exactly measure it, so it was like 0.01 millimeters away from a Starweaver. So it wasn't in the bubble. I said it doesn't a problem because, in 40k, if it's in the millimeters, I don't know, I don't care about it. So I let him put the grenades into one of the Starweavers. Of course, he killed it, and drill shot down one of the Starweavers. I popped the Incarn there. Next turn, basically with the smites and the transports, I killed all the Plague Marines. I killed the drill. At that point, I killed both of the Demon Princes with the fusions. So he had 2 units of Plague Marines, a Rhino, and a unit of Terminator in the middle of the board because that was the only place he could deep strike, and I shot him with the Digester all turn, so they moved 3 inches. They didn't move anywhere.
Yeah, they just died. He couldn't get to you at all, so he was just basically...
I didn't even shoot the Terminators. They was there for turn 5.
Okay.
So it was an easy game.
That was that game, pretty much. I imagine you got a pretty big victory there.
It was 92-40.
Okay. So moving on to, it looks like your next 2 games were against Admech. So your first round 2 game was Steven.
That was the thing TJ thanked me that I take out the Admechs because he was afraid. So
yeah, right. So what happened in this game versus the first Admech player?
I played Juice from the Team Battle Brothers. We met on ETC.
It's funny how I don't actually know his name. So okay.
Steven 4.
I know, but I didn't know.
Nobody knows his name.
He doesn't have a name.
Yeah, he had a pretty good list with the standard Admech stuff with the chickens, 1 unit of breachers, 2 unit of Electro Priests with drills, 20 priests, 10 raiders, the pregame move raiders, Dominus, and two of the tanks with the no line of sight shooting.
Sure. Yeah, the Scorpius tanks. Yep.
So it was the direct assault mission with the 32, I think. When you have the corner, the middle of the board is a circle, and you have one of the corners for the deployment. So it was pretty close. So I backfielded everything. If he goes first, he can, pregame move the drills, get the priest out, and charge first turn. So I left 3 units on the line. If I go first, I just have to redeploy 1 unit to get in the front. If he goes first, I can just put everything back and maybe weather the first turn, because the 2 elves in the middle with the line of sight blocking. If he go first, he couldn't.
It's tough.
The terrain was good, and he couldn't have much shots if he go first on my army. But actually, I went first, and I took domination because there's a 5 objective game. Sure. And I know he took the direct assault. He wanted to hold the middle with the 20 Electro Priest force. And I took domination because I can easily hold the other 3 objectives around the corner without doing anything. And actually, I went first, and he decided to pregame move the drills in front, and he put the raiders, 1 unit of raiders between the 2 elves. Mm-hmm. So after we talked about it, and
he said, you go back there for a second. For those watching, so he decided to pregame move. Did he use the stratagem after you rolled to see go first?
No, he uses. You have to use a strat during deployment
Correct.
if you want to pregame move in.
Okay, move on. Okay.
No. He played it for the drills and for the Raiders. Actually, can pregame move normally.
Yep.
And we talked about it after the game that he made a mistake. He moved one of the Raiders between the L's in the middle.
Yeah.
So basically, I just jumped over with 2 Star Reavers on one side, other Star Reaver to the other side, put one bike unit there, the other bike unit next to the other objective. So he couldn't use the 2 CP strat to, when I want to charge him, he wants to run away because he cannot fit out.
Can't actually fall back. Right.
So I charged the other unit. I wanted him to burn the CP, so I charged the other unit. I know he's going to use it with the bikes. He went away, but that gave me the objective because he had to fall back.
Sure.
I shoot the fusions into the 2 drills, kill both of them. With the transports firing, the Skyweavers firing at the Digester, I killed 17 of the 18th Electro Priest turn 1.
That's tough. So
you're turn a forest too, right? Like modified hit and all this type of stuff, and you just clutched it out and clipped them all.
Even with the Digester, I killed 1, D3 mortal wounds, 3 mortal wounds, 2 more dies. It's just like I feel like everything is coming together for me, and he felt really bad, and I don't know. And then one of the priests even ran away with the morale at the end of the first turn. So, and the Troop Master went in because he left me a gap next to his Dominus. And I asked him after deployment that if he wants to redeploy anything or move something because I can fit the Troop Master there easily and I can kill him turn 1.
Yep.
And he said that no problem, he made the mistake, he's not going to move anything. So I went in. I had to double fight with it because he made all of his saves on the first round, so he just took 2 mortal wounds from the Darkness Bite. And I double fought with the Troop Master, killed the Tech Priest, so basically he didn't have any rerolls, he didn't have the exploding 6s. And after turn 1, he lost 2 drills, the priests.
Yeah, 2 drills, priests. So the whole priest unit was dead?
That was 3 of them left from one of the unit.
It's not useful then. So
and then we had a good talk about after turn 1. Had like he needs some things to go in his way to get out at least a good game of it.
Yeah, that's tough.
So and of course I charged everything into the Raiders, so he couldn't shoot anything because everybody was in close combat.
So that's so I imagine that was another big win then, because you killed like 900 points turn 1.
Yeah, and turn 2 he charged everything into the bikes, everything he left, and with the breachers he rolled 14 dices to wound with rerolling to wound with the Dominus or the Manipulus, and all 1s and 2s, no wounds, all 1s and 2s.
That's pretty bad.
It's epic.
So that was
it was 100 to 30.
100 to 30. Ew. That's tough. So then you killed Admech, and then you faced Admech immediately again. Mark Hurdle, I played him before just casually in Virginia, and then he's also played in a lot of events that I was at as well against some of my friends. So what kind of list was he playing that was different?
Mark is first of all, he's a really good guy. I played him on the RTTs one time before with a dead guard list I asked from someone. Actually, I beat him with 4 points, so he was really upset and he wanted to take revenge on me. He played the same list as Juice played, but he had 30 Electro Priests, not 20. 29 Electro Priests. The chickens, free transports for the priests, normal Admech boats, and free of the no line of sight shooting.
Yeah.
Tanks and 2 units of raiders.
Yep. So a lot of vehicles.
Yeah, a lot of vehicles. And it was the mission with the short edge deployment. And because of the L's, I can hide everything turn 1. So even if you go first, I have only the mortars shooting to me with the 3D3 shots. It doesn't. It's not that bad, but still significant.
Yeah.
Actually, I went first on this game, and from the L on my side, I could jump one transport in his L in front of his army, and I disembark the troop master, get behind his lines, and between the haywire shots and the fusions, I killed I think 2 transports with the priests.
Okay.
So he used the strat to disembark 6 inches because other way he couldn't get out because of so many models was in the same place.
Yep.
And he paid the CP to explode the first transport to kill some of my units, and the second one exploded naturally. So he had 3 characters on 1 wound next to each other, and I had my troop master on 1 wound.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to charge the characters so badly because if you can kill 3 characters, turn 1 is just game against Admech.
Yeah.
But the Manipulus has the flamer, so.
Okay.
Well, I charged the Electro Priests. I killed 6 or 7 of them, and he interrupted with another unit and killed one of my bike units completely. Threw up free up invulnerable save, so that was tough. And basically, in that game, I figured I don't care about the primary at all on the first 3 turns because all the objectives was out in the open. So if I just stay on the objective, he's gonna shoot me with all of the last cannons and the auto cannons.
Right.
So I went in, I throw all my army into his lines, so he couldn't get any primary, but I can get at least 5 or 10 per turn because I hold 1 objective.
Yeah, because it sounded like you penned him in. He couldn't.
Yeah, he moved the Raiders out turn 1 pregame move, but they died from the fusion turn 1, both of the units. And then I pinned him in basically behind his L. He couldn't move out. So after turn 3, when most of his army was dead, I just moved 2 transports back to hold the objective and get the 10 points each turn.
Okay. Yeah.
And actually, that was a point on turn 3 when he decided to charge the last 10 Electro Priest into my transport and into my troop master.
Yeah.
And he was debating to declare both of them because one was a 4-inch charge, the other one was a 6-inch charge.
Yeah.
And he went for it. He didn't have any CP left, and he rolled a 5. So actually, he failed both of the charges.
That's tough.
Yeah, he told me that he was greedy because he wanted to kill both of the units, of course. But we measured it like 10 times. I really wanted to give it to him because it was so close. But
is what it is.
He was upset, but he was totally cool with it. He wasn't upset that he was angry.
That's all. He got greedy, didn't work out, sucks. So
what was the score?
Yeah, what was the score?
And he even had the +1 for the charge.
Oh wow! So we were at 4. Okay.
Yeah, he rolled a 3. I think.
So rough.
So what score that game?
It was 86-23.
Oh yeah, penning him in first turn is tough. So then you destroyed all the forges at Mars apparently, and you went.
Actually, Juice was Styges.
Okay, so you're destroying multiple forge rolls. Harlequins are everywhere. Popping
up. Going out the web way, bro.
Apparently very angry at Mechanical Men, and you go into round 4 against a mirror match of some variety.
Yeah, it was against Jason, who I played him the RTT before the event and actually lost to him by 2 points in turn 5 with his last minute of movement. He managed to beat me, and I told him we had a good talk after day 1 because we knew we're gonna play each other, and we was we know the deployment, we know the map, we know the mission.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you want to make the other one goes first because you want to roll high and make the other one goes first. So you make the move, then you can counter him.
Makes sense.
Because it was the Mission 23 with the little touchdown end zone deployment.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you can hide everything. You don't see it. And if you want to shoot something, you have to double move or overextend with the bikes.
Yeah.
And they die.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you move 44 with one of the unit, then they just die because they are so far away from everybody.
Yep.
So actually, he rolled higher and he made me go first. And I was thinking I try the same thing I did against Mark.
Uh-huh.
Try to pin him in and go for it. So I jumped over the fusion boat in his L.
Yeah.
Killed his Venom. Well, because his list was he had Dark Elder.
Oh, okay.
In the list. He had Homunculus with the Vexator Mask, 1 unit of Grotesque, 2 Ravagers, and Rex. And I jumped over the fusion boat. I killed the Venom. I killed 1 unit of Rex because he took Scramblers, so I wanted to take away the troops from him. And actually, that was one of the part of the game which went in my favor because I managed to deny him the Scramblers because I killed both of the units who can do it, and the other one I keep locked in close combat. When you fall back, you cannot do the action.
Correct. Yep.
So turn 1, I killed the Venom, and the Troop Master, the Murder Master, went in for the Haywire Bike unit. He decided to Overwatch. We was talking about it that he couldn't kill it.
Yeah.
With 5d6 shot, but he was like, I just want to go for it at this point. So the Troop Master took 2 wounds, spent the CP, +2 strength, +2 attacks, Murderous Entrance, damage 3. So he had 8 attacks, turn 1, hitting on 2s, all hit.
Oh no.
I hit, wounding on 3s, 7 wounds, I rolled 1, 8 wounds. He rolled 8 4-ups, failed 5, complete bike unit dead.
Wow.
Because he Overwatched, you hit him with the
Yeah, there is a threat when you lose a wound, you can get +2 strength, +2 attacks.
So you really should have done that.
Yeah, and he failed 5 out of 8 save. He tried to reroll 1. He failed eventually, but actually, if you just go for the math, maybe I was like, I killed 2 or 3 of them max. But yeah, that was a big swing. Killing.
I mean, so how many points did you kill turn 1, you think?
A unit of bikes, Venom, unit of Rex.
Yeah.
I don't know, around 500.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's still pretty good. But the point is, as we're talking about 4, like with the Yinkarn, it's not about making your points back. It's what you destroyed his strategy. So he couldn't really get out. He couldn't capture primary. You were just able to just keep pressing that primary.
Yeah, actually, the thing that I did with the Incarn all weekend is basically I put 1 unit on an objective somewhere in the side, and if you shoot down it, the last model dies, I just put the Incarn there and I hold the objective next turn.
Yep, that's pretty good. So, was he ever able to get out of the deployment zone, or were you just pretty much mopping him up the whole game there?
He tried to run out with the Grotesques. He failed the charge to go for my Shadows here.
Yeah.
Even if he could make the charge, I would just Domino Shroud out. So I told him that actually it's a good thing that he didn't charge because you didn't do anything. And the best thing is with Harlequins against the other Harlequins, when he moved out his boats to shoot my boats with the fusion, and I popped the Domino Shroud there, and -6-inch range, you cannot fusion me.
That's rough.
That sucks. So what was the final score in that game with Harlequins? Wow.
78-26.
Okay, so a little less primary for you, but still you've been keeping opponents to
in this game I was like, I'm 3-0. This is the 4th game. I just want to win and get into the finals.
Yeah, right. No, that makes sense. So you went into the last game, which we already know the outcome of this game because TJ talked about it last week. It looked like it was pretty brutal on your end. So it's game 5 versus TJ Lanigan's list. If you guys want to see the list, it's in the show notes from last week. It's Lord of Change, Magnus, chaos stuff, horrors, things like that. So we don't need to go over the whole game. We sort of know that you lost a lot of models via psychic shenanigans. And
I lost my whole army in 1 turn.
Yeah. So knowing that, did you do anything wrong, you think? What would you have done differently?
I was thinking about the game for 2 days because I was preparing for that match because I told TJ if I can go undefeated or I can get into the finals, I want to play him, and if I lose, I want to lose against him. So I think I wished for it too badly because
which came true.
After day 1, we went to have dinner and a few beers with TJ and the other guys, and we talked about the game like all night. We talked about the secondaries, we talked about the mission, we talked about what he can do, what I can do. Of course, against TJ, you cannot pull a trick when you kill 2 characters with the Troop Master because there will be no place to place the Troop Master.
Yeah.
and he made a good thing. He screened out the fusion boats with the Nurglings. Even if I go first, I could have put 2 Star Reavers into Magnus turn 1 because I could have double moved one of the boats out of the eye range, and I could have just moved one, shoot, fire and fade over Nurglings, and then shoot Magnus.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean,
but
kills so much.
Yeah, the biggest thing I was thinking I want to separate my army in the 2 corners, so you have to make a decision which way he goes. But actually, that was a mistake because he has a 24-inch smite range and all the mortal wounds. But if I just backline in the middle, if he wants to smite me, if he wants to put a lot of pressure and mortal wounds into the unit in front, he has to advance up to the middle of the board.
Yep.
To come out. And I think then maybe he can kill one of the bike units because I would just put it in front, because against this matchup, the bikes don't do anything. They can kill Nurglings sometimes, but nothing else.
No.
So he just killed 1 bike unit, and then I have 5 boats and everybody who can just jump in and try to kill the characters.
Right.
I went for the Nurglings with the fusions. All of the units, like, I killed 3 of the 4, 1 stayed there.
Yeah, he said you had like one model every unit or something.
Yeah. He had 5 units. After turn 2, all of the units was in 1.
Yeah.
And on turn 3, he bring out the bird, and I was like, okay, this is it. If I can kill the bird, I can come back into the game turn 3. And I put 20 fusion pistols into the bird.
It's a lot of fusion pistols.
80 attacks with the troops, 2 smites, the Shadow Seer gun, all the transports, and it took 8 wounds.
That's the more like.
And the next turn, my whole army get down in 1 psychic phase, and we shook hands. And
do you think it would have swung the game in your favor if you killed?
No. At that point, turn 3, because he went first and he basically took 5 objective of the 6 with the Nurglings. Turn 1. Yeah. He already had 30 primary on turn 3, so there was no way coming back. It was just like
get closer.
Get closer. If I can go first and I deploy differently, I could have made it a close game.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking for the next GT will be the fight before Christmas. I want to go, and I was thinking, what can I put into the list against mortal wounds? And I was thinking about 10-man units of Harlequins, because the 10-mans are good. Some matchups, because against Necrons, you can just pick up a 20-man warrior unit.
Yeah, definitely.
But some of the matchups, they're really bad.
Yeah.
And I figured I just take more transports, more fusion, everybody with close combat weapon, and let's go for it. Because if you think about it, if I just rush my army against TJ's army, he basically can do like 20 mortal wounds, kill.
Well aware of TJ's mortal wound.
Yeah, he can do more. But
so you took third. You took third overall, though, right? That's right.
Yeah, third.
Yeah, it's a good finish.
It was my first GT. I was really happy.
Yeah. So some quick takes before we move to our last guest of the night. So Forge World stuff. Have you had a chance to read like the Eldar stuff for Forge World at all?
I checked it, but I don't know. If I play Eldar, I'm gonna stick to Harlequins or maybe Dark Eldar.
Okay.
All right.
I checked the book. There are some good stuff, but I think the Eldars need some rework.
Yes. Yeah, we need a new book. I mean,
Yeah,
I have a ton of Eldar.
Everybody else, they need a new book.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like, case in point, today I put a practice game and I had my Shadow Spectre unit. I was going to blow up this guy's pink horror unit and dive my spears in to kill all his characters. But then I just, like, Guide and Doom got blocked by Super Chicken because I couldn't get out of it. And then everything just, like, fell on its face. It was just like, my super unit is useless because my spells failed. And, like, damn. I wish I had some better buffs or mechanics on the army to get around that. But I mean, with the chaos matchup though, with the Nurglings, the thing I really like haven't been able to figure out in that match is just like you have to commit real stuff to kill the Nurglings, otherwise you just lose. and then and if you kill the Nurglings, you just lose anyway because you have to commit your real stuff, and then it dies, and then you can't kill the real stuff it has. It's crazy.
When you put 5 fusion pistol, 20 attacks in a unit of 3 Nurglings, and you don't kill it, it's
like damn.
but even after this event, I'm still gonna take her for the next GT because
that's cool. It's a good unit. Well,
that is something different.
So I appreciate you dropping by, man. Maybe after the next event, we're trying to get more people on here regularly. So if you want to stop by next time, more happy to have you on. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we're gonna have appreciate it. We're gonna have Evan come on next, talk about some salamanders and white scars. So why don't you have a good evening, Mate, and we'll talk to you later, man.
Thank you. I'm gonna stay and listen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And this is where I have to bid everybody adieu and get back to doing homework. So,
all right, man.
Thanks for having me, Dom. Thanks for listening, everybody at home. And everybody have a good night.
See you later, Connor. All right, so let me bring an Evan on here, talk about some Space Marines. 1 second.
Is the sideways camera better?
Yeah, that's better because it fits in the window.
Cool. Classic.
So, you are another Art of War subscriber.
Indeed.
And you recently played with Salamanders on the what TTS tournament was it?
So that's Alpha League. It's if you are on the TTS main Warhammer 40K one, you'll see it.
Okay. So how many people were in this? See, I'm not really accustomed to TTS tournaments. I know it's been getting more popular, obviously, because of COVID. But do you remember how many people were in this event?
Yes, I think it was 156.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah, well, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it was like 16 pods of 6 people.
Pods. Okay.
And so 150 players.
Okay. That's cool.
And so it's season 5 right now. So they've done 4 before. That was 5. They just are starting 6 soon. So if anyone wants to sign up, go hop in.
What season did you play your Salamanders in?
5, the most recent one.
Oh, okay. Okay, so pretty recently. Cool.
Yeah. So you had to submit them about 3 months ago, the lists. And then a couple new things dropped, like the Space Marine Codex. So in order to kind of keep it fair to the previous list submissions, they kept the old rules, which was kind of confusing because you're playing like in this list purgatory where you want to like learn the new rules. But I've been playing with like old broken Salamanders for like 3 months.
So for the 3-month restriction, was that because it takes so much effort to set up the matches in TTS? Is that why?
No, it's just that you submitted your list. Basically, there's the pre-playoff stage and then the playoff stage.
Okay. It just takes okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of a nice setup. So you'll be placed in a pod with 5 other players or 4 other players. This season, it's down to pods of 5 instead of pods of 6. But essentially, you have 4 weeks to play 4 games. And so you can schedule with your opponents as long as you finish within that time frame.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I wasn't big on TTS until maybe really just COVID.
Literally no one played 40K on TTS until COVID.
Yeah, and TTS was abysmal like 3 years ago or so. Like in the last year or so, it's gotten a lot better.
Oh yeah, well there were no resources for it. Then when COVID hit, people started making units and terrain and everything.
Right. It's gotten much smoother. Like Battlescribe to TTS like keeps all the rules there.
Okay.
You can do like kind of pre-measured stuff like bubbles of area denial, and then like once you kind of get used to it, you're like, wait a second, I can like measure to the like 10th decimal and like just move 30 orcs with the click. Like I'm like,
well, TTS is cool for that. I feel like if you play too much of it, it's going to give you this sense of being way too exact, and normal 40K, good luck with that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I definitely found myself kind of bogged down a bit with some of the minutia and like, when you start playing real, like on the table, it's like it's more about playing by intention, right? And so it's a little bit less of that kind of necessity there.
No way. I mean, it's super difficult to agree what is 4.1 inches using a tape measure that doesn't have that marking on it.
Yeah, and people are reasonable with it for the most part. Funny enough, I did play against an orc player in the playoffs who was a really good player, and he you're thinking like, okay, because they're in the playoffs, there's a chess clock, and so you're thinking like, all right, well, he can move 30 miles with a click of a button. Like, there's no way he times out. And then, sure enough, he timed out.
Wow.
And I timed out after that too, but
just a lot of analysis.
Yeah.
Through. Yeah.
Just like a lot of saving rules and whatnot, and it was also just a really, really tight game because like if I made it, he can just try to deny me primary with like the jumping, but has to like watch out for like Auspex scan and whatnot.
So what? So what was that game like? Like, did he have like a lot of boys? Was it a boy heavy orc list?
Yeah, so it was 120 boys and then like 16 mech guns or something.
Yeah.
And mech guns just wreck.
Wow.
Yeah, mech guns wreck Space Marines right now.
Yeah, we were talking about that, but it really seems like with the deployment and how heavy terrain is, you can get line of sight problems.
Yeah, so turn one, I'll give you a run through the Salamanders list real quick. It was basically something similar to Dan Salmon's list that he won one of the early 9th tournaments with.
Yeah.
Ended up like probably played like 50 plus games with it, so you kind of figure out what you want, what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically picked up a land speeder and dropped some like melta guns, something like that. And basically you beta strike super hard with like a bunch of aggressors. You take long range marksmen, so you had 11-inch range. Mm-hmm. And then some eradicators too, because Salamanders eradicators are nuts. Salamanders flamers are nuts.
Yep. Oh yeah, definitely. And for those watching that are confused about the long range marksmen plus the flamers, this is from the previous edition of the Codex.
So. Right. Yeah, so now we don't have to do that anymore, which is cool because you can take your just regular Salamanders and get your -1 AP ignored. But at the same time, you're not double shooting aggressors. The Grav Dev pod is gone. It's just, I mean, it has a place, but like without the strat, it just doesn't hit the same. So basically, you would like kind of beta strike super hard turn 2. So in that orc game, turn 1, I did manage to avoid all line of sight from all the mech guns, which was a problem. And like,
yeah, I mean that's a big part of his army.
Yeah,
it's not nearly as effective.
Yeah, and he had 120 boys. You know he might green tide and get to 150 boys, which is a problem. And then he's got like what we said, 10 mech guns or so. So that's like bring it down maxed. And so you basically know that if you like, you're going to get killed on primary because he has just like enough obsec that he can jump and get where he needs it to be. Yep. But you need to just max your secondaries, so I guess come as close to it as you can, and then you have a chance. And so like maxing out, bring it down with killing mech guns and thin their ranks when I got a unit down to, I killed one unit with 1 round of aggressors, just like going off.
Aggressor,
and then
the old rules murdered. So bad.
Yeah, they picked up 30 boys like comfortably because you just like get the flame craft for 2 CP, maximum shots. And so you just put out like, if you get the double shoot off, 72 shots or whatever, and like wounding on 3s, -1.
They just die. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. But then the second unit I tried to kill, I got down to 2 guys. He fails a morale test, passes the attrition test.
Oh, so he's down to 1 guy.
And he green tides it back.
That's the worst.
Yeah. The plus side is like, okay, I'm definitely maxing thin the ranks now because there's 30 more boys to kill. But
but it's still frustrating that they're back.
Oh yeah.
Especially I mean, you can't have a more efficient green tide.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Wow. And I think orcs are in like an okay place, honestly, more than people would think they are.
I mean, orcs are a weird army where they're super popular in terms of like casualness.
Right.
You don't see a lot of them at tournaments. So the ones that you do see are really good players generally.
Yeah, and you hear a lot about like this fan base. It's like a committed fan base that
very. Yeah, one of my friends who I play with a lot, he plays a lot of orcs or did, and they can just sort of sit there and score primaries, like you were saying.
Yeah,
new models.
Yep, he just obsected me real hard.
Was that the final round of the?
No, so that was I think the 3rd to final round. Here, I'll pull up the list.
That was like round 2 then, or was it round 3? Okay.
That was round 3 of the playoffs. So first round was against a Sisters player who she's a really good player, but like in that matchup, you kind of just calculated the things that she could kill things with, and then the things that I could kill things with. And it was like, okay, I have 6 or 7 units that wipe stuff, and you have like 5 units that kill things.
Yeah.
So like assuming Repentia don't charge into more than 1 unit,
Right.
I'm like just trading with you in this
trading, and you'll be ahead there, and she won't be able to get you off objectives. Yeah.
Yeah. So she conceded top of turn 2.
Ouch.
And like I wasn't even crushing, but like popped a couple rhinos by turn 2, and she was just like, yeah.
Well, without the rhinos, the Repentia don't really get anywhere.
Yeah. So at that point, it's like she had to trade Repentia into like bikes or my forward most deployed stuff, and
yeah.
At that point, it's not going well.
So round 2.
Round 2 was against Admech, solid player, but there was like the Salamanders trick with the grav devs. So like I would load up the dev pod with a scout squad.
Mm-hmm.
This is something actually Nick and I had talked about.
Yeah. I've seen him use it.
Yeah. And so you just like drop some scouts behind obscuring and within 6 inches of the grav devs, and use the self-sacrifice stratagem. No, Born Protector stratagem.
Yeah.
And then they can't target your grav devs, even if they have to kill the scouts, and the scouts are going to be hiding. And then you just have some other unit that's closer. Like if you can position it, you position the scouts closer, but maybe it's just your land speeder or your outriders. And so like, you go like going first definitely helps. Like if I can pick up one of the Belarus disintegrators, right, then he can't kind of out of line of sight shoot the scouts that are protecting.
Yep.
And so just like turn 1, pick up a vehicle, turn 2, pick up 2 more vehicles.
Yeah, the Eradicators, I mean, Admech just can't.
Yeah.
The vehicles just die.
Yep.
They have no way to save them. So.
Yeah, 100%. He was trying to do a Stiggy's termite drill, and it's like fine, but not as good as the Ricards list that's been going around now.
No. I play that sometimes too. It's just the drill just dies so easy, and there are a lot of points for just dying. I like them, but they're pretty vulnerable. They're better now, but still,
T8 it helps, but
at least now they're 14 wounds, but they're also 180 points.
Yeah, 180 is definitely a bump up.
Yeah. So
would you if you're playing Death Guard? Well, first of all, Death Guard lost all Forge Rule for now. Like,
it's a weird typo. I feel like because in the Legends book that they released for Forge Roll, they specifically FAQ'd Death Guard to be able to take those units.
Weird.
They didn't FAQ it for the main books. I don't know.
I hope they get to that because I'm painting up a Death Guard termite drill. So.
Chaos has 0 HQ in the Forge Roll book for some reason. Or Chaos Space Marines, despite having a bunch of models for them. I don't know what happened to that World Eater guy or the
Zoofor
guy who has a model.
Right.
But
Terminator Lord.
Yeah, Space Marine dudes.
Zoofor, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So what kind of secondaries were you taking?
Yeah, so
I imagine.
Yeah, so if you're going up against vehicle heavy, you're going to take bring it down. You have the Eradicators and the Grav Devs. It's interesting in the Orc matchup because the mech guns are the only vehicles, and they're like 4 or 5 up armor save. So your Grav Dev does nothing, which is unfortunate. But I still made an aggressive play to pick up like 1 or 2 in the first turn, which was like huge. You just have to get that bring it down points going.
And it reduces firepower by a significant amount. Right.
Like if I can just focus on one side and clear out 2 and then hide from the rest, like, I'll be in a good spot.
Because Admech, beyond a very few amount of units, they have no way to really push you off objectives, like with close combat.
Yeah. So. He was popping out like vanguards with plasma guns from every termite drill was like the play. And,
they can shoot you off, but they're not gonna take the objective, which is part of the problem with Admech.
Right. And you just use obscuring. Pretty much in general with the army, you are taking engage because you have outriders, you have the land speeder. It's funny, if they don't have bring it down or like assassinate, then you're stuck either doing some sort of like while we stand we fight thing. Mm-hmm. You have the unkillable bike character, so he's like got you 5 points.
He works, yeah.
You got the lieutenant is like kind of just hiding around Blade Guard, giving out the 6-up feel no pain aura. So he's like kind of chilling. Yeah. So initially in Dan Sam's list, the 3rd highest was the drop pod, which like is kind of a giveaway points wise. So then me picking up the Tempest land speeder made that the 3rd pick, which in some matchups, if they don't have line of sight shooting, basically like Admech Belarus is just going to pick that up. Scorpius is going to pick that up. That's a problem.
Yep.
But in any other list, I can park that somewhere.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, you have matchup problems, but I mean, how many times you can out of line of sight shooting is becoming more rare. Besides, like
Right.
guard.
yeah.
So it's okay.
So yeah, because then if you're taking that, it kind of it's like counterintuitive with engage on all fronts because you like can't just like swing it out there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like standard like secondaries, right? And then you take either banners if you have 2 objectives in your deployment zone, or you take scramblers.
Yeah. So what was the overall result of that game with Admech?
The second round of Admech was 100-30.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, the double. If like grab devs got to shoot twice because of the cheeky salamander stratagem, you were in a bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't have line of sight shooting to kill the scouts, and by the time you killed the scouts, you didn't have line of sight shooting to kill the grav devs.
Right.
So if you couldn't deal with that, you getting shot by 2 rounds of grav devs was going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's a definite issue. So then the next round was the orcs you were talking about?
Yeah, so next round was orcs, and this was the closest game of all of them, honestly. I can't remember the exact primary stuff. The game ended 83-69.
Okay.
And he did time out like bottom 3, and I timed out top 4.
What? Wow, guys. Okay.
Yeah, it was just one of these games where like just every decision was so important for how it played out. Like,
but how did the points work being timed out? Did you just keep getting primary if you were on the objectives?
Yeah, so it's you can't make any more. You can't roll any dice except for saves.
But you still score. So he was still scoring points for 4 and 5, and you were scoring points for your last turn. Okay.
Right. So and I basically before I timed out managed to take a 3rd objective, which like locked me in for primary. I think. And him and I like debated a bit, but I did kind of play it out by myself and just see how it would have gone. And
yeah,
I think like he could have denied primary and kept it close, but I think it was still like even if he had the time, I think he couldn't have denied all the primary, and I would have pulled it out.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, that's a good game. It's still weird hearing people time out on TTS without the movement phase. Like you would think, well, again, orcs, you should have time, but if the decisions are that in depth, I mean, I can see that. So then was the finals? Well, I mean, sorry, were the playoffs 5 rounds or just like 6 rounds? Or?
Yeah, so 5 rounds. So the pod system is you need to. The first 2 pods, the top 2 pods, are like kind of recurring players who've played well, and they take 2 of the best players from those pods, and they go to playoffs. And then every other pod is the top player goes on to the playoffs, and then it's single round elimination. So if you lose, you're gone. So I had to 10-0.
That's pretty good. So what was like what was round 4 like?
Yeah, so round 4 was against some Imperial Fist Centurions and Scorpius and
those are gone.
Yeah, and Apothecary, like that kind of stuff before he was super broken. But basically he had like 2 Contemptor Dreads. So like the list hits hard. I went first, and he put his Scorpius behind some containers that did block line of sight, but he didn't put any screens next to it. And so like the Scorpius was still the closest, and like I managed to get line of sight to like just part of it with 2 drop pod devs, with 2 grav devs from the pod.
And that was enough.
And so I'm thinking turn 1, do I drop in with 2 out of 4 guys shooting to pick up the Scorpius, knowing the other 2 guys are kind of just shooting like nothing they're going to really kill.
Right.
And then obviously one of the 2 guys is going to be on BS2, and he can shoot with the Cherub too.
Right. Yeah. So it's really 3. It's really almost 4 guys.
It's 3 guys with 1 guy at BS2.
Yeah.
And you got the broken expert crafters too. So back before that was nerfed.
Yeah.
And you're just like, if I kill the Scorpius, this game is completely different.
Yeah. Right.
Because I can hide my speeder, who's my while we stand we fight, and he can't really shoot me off objectives if I'm obscured. So I go for it, and with the Cherub managed to get it, thankfully.
So you had 12 shots, and 8 of those were BS.
Hitting on 2s, yeah.
Okay.
And then you're like, you use all the Salamander nonsense. So they have a stratagem that's +1 to wound. Then you use the Grav Dev stratagem. Yep, and then you use the count a stationary thing. Right. So you come in, you count a stationary, and you are, instead of wounding on 5s, wounding on 4s, re-rolling with the Grav Dev strat. It's so funny, like talking about this, like working on these like matchups, because it's like you were just living in rules purgatory where this shit was like so relevant.
Codex was already out by then. When did you?
Yeah, these last it was probably I finished the finals like maybe 2 weeks ago or like a week and a half ago.
Similar to the other events we were talking about. Okay.
Yeah,
that's weird. It's
and then it's interesting because like in the finals I'm playing against Admech, which is like an army that actually still like hasn't really changed, right?
No, so you played Admech again. Okay.
Yeah. So Imperial Fists basically like pick up the Scorpius turn 1, and then I made a really great play with scouts that I'd forward deployed to like move block like the dreadnoughts he had, and also hopped on his objective that he basically at the start of my turn 2, my scouts hopped on an objective that he had 1 OBSEC model on, and so he had a bunch of dudes and OBSEC, so obviously he's going to outnumber the scouts. But I drop my Eradicators in and just shoot Intercessors. And the Eradicators pick up the Intercessor squad. He no longer has OBSEC. And then I've denied him primary and blocked him with scouts, basically.
Right.
And did that on like both sides on turn 2. So that like turn 3, I'm getting hold more. And he's getting hold. And it was the hold. It's the one where there's 3 objectives in your deployment zone. And they're all like Dawn of War. And so it's a hold 2, hold 3. So I took 2 of the objectives away from him. So he just got a hold 0 for the first one. And I'm on hold more 2 turns in a row. And then I could just run away from Centurions, basically. And
yeah. I mean, they're so slow. So
So that was 99-25.
Oh, another massive win. So now you're going into the final round.
Yeah.
And this is the final round of the whole event, right?
Yeah, so this was a scary matchup, scary list. We were both pretty stressed. It ended up being like the saltiest game of Warhammer I've ever played, which is
stressed despite sitting in comfortable chairs.
It's funny, right? Yeah, I can't imagine going to a tournament.
Way to play 40K.
I'm like hydrating, got some chips or whatever. But yeah, we just had a little bit of uncomfortable back and forth. But ultimately, so he was running 3 disintegrators, 2 flyers, 18 dogs. And going first is so clutch because I'm scout moving with the scouts to block the dogs from getting their pregame move.
Right.
And so if I block the dogs from their pregame move and then I can move block them, I'm in a good place for my reinforcements to come in.
Sure.
If he goes first, he can still move the dogs, wipe the scouts, and charge, and
still block your drop on everything. Right?
Yeah, because the planes are going to then push forward super far, and then I'm like on my 1/3 of the hammer and anvil.
Yeah, because they can block out so much of the board.
Yeah, the 2 big flyers with their huge kind of radius plus the dogs, like it's a problem. Right. There's still like a path to victory there, but it's not a great
it's tough when you get the initiative on you and he's able to push the objectives of how he wants to take them and makes you counter him, which is tough.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm guessing that didn't happen though.
No, I mean thankfully I went first, which was pretty clutch. Grav devs come in, pick up a disintegrator because the 2 Belarus ones were hiding, but the other one you just can't hide three disintegrators. It's kind of
no, I mean, I play Admech as one of my main armies, and it's just they're just too large. Can't do it.
I can't imagine that you can successfully do that.
No, you can if you have multiple pieces of terrain in certain board setups, but even then, not from every angle.
Right, and so grav devs are coming anywhere they want.
Yeah, right.
So, like, thankfully, when the roll off, move block with the scouts, drop the grav devs, pick up a tank, put 9 wounds on a flyer.
Ouch.
Which is whack.
You didn't kill it, but
yeah. So he counters, the flyers move up. So here's where I think he could have done is he could have sat the flyer still and healed it, and then double healed it with the
Caduceus, the auto Caduceus.
Yeah, I guess he wanted to
the stratagem. Sorry, the auto Caduceus let you heal more, basically.
Right. So instead he pushes it forward and counts it at maximum. Which and then the dogs kind of pick up the scouts and pile into the midfield. My turn 2, I can't really bring in that much reinforcements because the planes have pushed me back so far, so I have to pick up both the planes. On the last bolter shot from the last biker, I kill the second plane.
Because it's like full wounds, right?
Yeah, it's the other one's a full wound, so that's a problem. And I'm just shooting at it with like outriders and nonsense. I think aggressors, Bolt Storm aggressors, like double tapped into it, but without like not really meaningfully killing it.
Yeah.
It also like reduced damage by 1, right? Because it's the chaff launcher, shape launcher, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
So that was like frustrating for like grav devs if they were going to shoot it and whatever. So pick up the planes, and I think I dropped 1 Eradicator squads, which picks up some chickens.
Yeah, each one can kill one. It's crazy. Each shot can kill a chicken, basically, if you roll well.
Right. It's tough, too, for sure. You're probably picking up like 2 chickens from the squad. The thing is, the chickens pick up all my Gravis stuff so quickly that they kind of got to go. And the other thing is I'm trying to bring it down points.
Okay.
Because I'm probably not going to be able to kill every single thing, so I got to figure out how to do it. And in the end, he still had 2 disintegrators up, but I maxed out Bring It Down by killing chickens.
Versus him, you bring it down and
so bring it down, engage, and I had to take While We Stand and Fight because it was the Hammer and Anvil one where there's 4 objectives total.
Yeah, right.
So I can't do banners, and I didn't trust myself to do scramblers because he has these disintegrators that are just going to sit in the back and screen. He's got some throwaway Vanguard that are going to screen.
Yeah, he's going to make it so you can't get in his deployment zone.
Yeah, and he has 5 Rust Stalkers that are going to just wait until turn 5 to deploy Scramblers in my backfield.
Right.
Because they have that 1 CP strat that lets them redeploy, pop up wherever.
Yep.
Yeah, so I do a little bit of damage, don't come on with too much stuff. He, counter punches and screws up my Eradicators. We're kind of just fighting in the midfield. I throw enough Blade Guard and Outriders on one side. The other side, I'm just kind of contesting him on. And there was like a few plays that he just kind of made kind of simple mistakes that like it happens like in the heat of the moment. Like a couple times where he could have got onto an objective that he didn't go to. Like the midfield, like he pulled a model that's prevented him from consolidating because he couldn't consolidate into coherency. And then the models that would have piled onto the objective were unable to move because like one dude was like kind of hanging back. So like screwed himself on like 10 primary that way, which would have made it closer because. So here's the real story is that I turn 2 kind of realized that if I can deny deploy scramblers for him, I probably win the game because
that's 10 points right there.
Yeah. And because my primary is like slightly better than him already.
Sure.
So if I like my secondaries are all going to be around like 10. If I can deny deploy scramblers, there's 0 chance that he wins this game. And I just take this bet that I'm going to pull it off on like bottom of turn 2, or I guess top of turn 2. And like it was super risky. I think like, a lot of people in the chat afterwards were like, I didn't think that was going to work out for you. Basically, what I had in the backfield was because we're playing Hammer and Anvil, which is a big deployment zone. Right. So I got 3 aggressors in the back center home objective. I've got the Tempest in the back right corner, and 2 Outriders who kind of weren't really holding objectives or like going to meaningfully contribute because I'd already secured the midfield objective. They just advanced back into the corner behind it, obscuring. And so then I have 2 Outriders with their big bases, which actually take up a good amount of space. The 3 aggressors who are now they're actually behind the rune. They're not like, using the rune to see through. They're kind of just using obscuring.
Yep.
A lieutenant babysitting them, and then the Tempest in the back right corner. And the captain went off to the right side to go help out Eradicator shooting.
Okay.
So he picks up all the Gravis. So my captain's now by himself. So I'm like, okay, I got to deny you the scramblers for 2 turns. Because top of turn 5, as long as I'm screening at the top of turn 5, he can't, clear it and then scramble, right?
Right.
So he picks up the land speeder with the out of line of sight shooting. Easy. Okay. So now I have nothing screening in the back right corner. So captain's like, all right, instead of going to smash something or contest an objective or something, captain's just going to go hide in the corner, screen out the field, hope to deny.
Right.
And he like shoots it and doesn't kill it, gets it down to like 1 wound or something.
Huh.
And top of my turn 5, I'm basically like, I don't think there's anywhere in my deployment zone you can come in. And you're not going to get those 10 points. Like this game should be over.
So was the captain just by himself? He was open to be shot and he just survived?
Yeah. So he, the thing is, it's like 2 Belarus that can shoot.
Yeah. Right.
And you're strength 6. I'm T7 -1.
Yeah.
So, and if you use Wrath of Mars, you can't do mortals because it's unmodified. No, it's modified 6s to wound.
Yeah, that's the currently, yeah.
Right. And so modified 6s with my -1 means you don't do mortals.
Right.
And I still was old 3-up Storm Shield. So, like, he would have to be rolling 6s to wound, and then I would have to fail.
What makes Chicken Walkers so dangerous.
Right. So that's why I was like, kill them and then hide, basically.
Right. Okay. So you pulled out a victory then. What was the final score there?
So that one was 72 to 51.
Close, yeah.
Yeah. So if he got the 10 points that he kind of screwed himself over on primary, he'd be at 61. And if he did scramblers,
71.
Right. Okay. So that's like
that's a pretty big victory out of what? You said 156 people on TTS?
Yeah, 150 people.
150 people. Yeah, that's really solid. I mean, there's barely any events in real life that are that large, especially nowadays.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool. That's exciting. I imagine it took forever because playing throughout a long period. That's why you had to use the old list. So now that the Salamander list is gone, because a lot of those units don't do their thing, you've moved on to what, like a John Lennon style White Scars list? That's what you've been using?
Yeah. It's funny. I was like kind of stuck with the Salamanders old rules for so long that it's like I haven't even played too many games with the new codex. But
right, that's true. You're practicing the old book.
Yeah, which like it sucks, but especially because the new season of Alpha starts in like a week or so. So I got to submit a list that I don't know too well. But yeah, the White Scars, everyone knows they're super hot. I think there'll be a ton of players at Alpha who are using them. I think like they're like a skilled army. If you like, there will be 100 people running them, but there's only going to be 10 people who are doing good things with them.
That's usually how it is,
right?
I mean, because the latest War Room game, I think, had John Lennon using this exact list, or very similar. I don't know if it's exact list, but it was definitely most of this stuff.
Yeah, I think it was maybe identical.
Yeah,
and so you got these two 10-man Vanguard vet squads. Old Storm Shield, Lightning Claw.
Yeah.
If your opponent doesn't have a kind of killer elite unit that requires a full 10-man to kill, then you combat squad into 4 5-mans. But there's like some things that you need a full 10-man Vanguard squad to kill, like maybe blobs of Necron warriors. I feel like even a Blade Guard, like do 10 Vanguards pick up 5 Blade Guard? Probably not.
I mean, yeah, it depends. I mean, on turn with Assault Doctrine, sure, they probably do.
Yeah, with Assault Doctrine, they probably do, but
it's still, it's just a lot of attacks.
Yeah, and then Inceptors, like obviously, if the opponent is giving a blast, they're screwed.
They do so like what Anthony was talking about at the beginning of the show, just with one unit of Inceptors. The fact that if you're 6 miles or over, they're doing 30 shots on you, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Well, five man's doing 30 shots. It's wild.
Yeah. I think there's like 2 different White Scars lists right now that are themes of lists. There's like the more infantry one that John Lennon's been running, and there's like Nick Nanavati's been running like the attack bikes. So he loves land speeder storms, the little scout transport ones.
Yeah, I think they've lost a little bit of their excitement because of scouts.
Yeah, but no, you don't put anything in them for sure.
Yeah, not anymore, man.
I think like there's some play. Yeah, like there's some play there. I think they have a heavy bolter, which is chill. But I've always liked the infantry lists more. I think there's more synergy across models, probably.
Well, the thing about infantry lists too is you don't have some of the mobility, but then you also don't have like vulnerability. Whereas the land speeder storms are really good because they fly and have their abilities. But if you're facing an army that maybe that's not good against, or you're facing a terrain setup or a mission setup where that doesn't help you, then the points you pay for that unit is pointless. Whereas with your infantry, your stuff does the same thing regardless of who you're facing or the terrain setup.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it definitely takes like a finesse to it, right? Like there's obviously the temptation to just ram Vanguard vets down people's throat, but like that's generally not the right play.
No, because they're still, they're better now. They're 2 wounds now, but it's a lot of 2 damage stuff.
Yeah. So I've been playing with it. I don't know. I'm a little bit colder on the Van Vets than I thought I was at first.
Yeah. They do damage. They're good in the center, I think. But are they better than just more Blade Guard?
Yeah, like I gotta say the Blade Guard 2-up against non-AP, like comfortable. That's comfortable.
Right.
No, I'm sorry. They're on the same thing. Yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you could almost take. I mean, with dropping a Vanguard, you could take an Impulsor with another 5-unit Blade Guard, probably.
yeah, some people.
Very, very, very similar. I mean, not quite, but similar.
I'm off the Impulsors.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, when you can't crack one and there's 5 Blade Guard inside, that's definitely a problem.
But yeah, I'm with you on that. The combination of nerfs to the Impulsor is really tough. Like it's almost better. Especially as White Scars, you get more movement. I feel like just deploying your Blade Guard in the center of the board behind an L, moving through the ruin and advancing. Whereas with the Impulsor, move all the way around.
Yep.
And I think what's the point then? I don't know.
Do you think we're just salty that like they lost enough rules, like so many rules, but that they're not actually that bad? Like, is that possible?
I think they're good in very limited circumstances, whereas before they were just good all the time.
Exactly.
So with Blade Guard on certain deployments, they're definitely solid. They're better, and they're really good for Black Templars because they have a stratagem where they can just go into combat if they feel like it.
It's nasty.
I mean, they're I don't know. They're still solid. It's just they're not an auto occlude.
Also, like if you're playing this list that's super infantry heavy, that's probably your only vehicle or something, and so your opponent just has like you know their las cannon equivalent that's just gonna go pick that up.
Well, that's always been a problem with those kind of lists, where if you have like one good vehicle, then it's going to die. So you either have a lot of vehicles, but I feel like vehicles are in a really tough spot right now. Like I love my Admech, but the new Necrons, all their weapons just do like 3, 6, 3d3 damage with -4 and 5 AP. Stuff just gets totally annihilated.
Yeah.
Invader ATVs, attack bikes.
If you don't have an invuln, you're in a bad spot for sure. I mean, that's why Guard have been kind of hot garbage for a while.
Yeah. So, so when is the next? So you said it starts in a few weeks.
Yeah, I think the list has to be locked in within the next week or so. So if anyone wants to sign up, it's free to sign up.
Is it going to be more people, or is it still around the same?
Yeah, it should be more. I assume there was a lot of interest in the kind of playoffs for people to come in. They're like changing the pods a bit. It's good for new players too. Like if you're new, you'll be put in a pod with people that are equally. They've never played alpha, so hit or miss. Like you could get a player who's really good and never played alpha before. Like in my pod, this was my first season.
Different? Is alpha different?
No, alpha is the name of the league. So like the first time you sign up, you're put in the bottom pods with people who have never played alpha before in the league. And so like some of those people are not experienced at playing. Some of those people are experienced at playing but have not played in the league. Yeah. Right. And so then like in my pod, this was my first time playing. Yeah. And so I mean, it's funny too because it's like, oh, we proved the theorem that like, oh, salamanders were broken 3 months ago. Cool.
Oh, they were very good. I mean, I was doing the videos for Art of War on that, and it's just take eradicators, take whatever, and you'll probably do very well with them.
Yep. But yeah, so like in my pod, of the 5 players who I got paired with, like 2 were like completely pretty new. One was like kind of a more casual guy, and then 2 were like competitive. So that's like, if you're a new player, hop in, beat 2 people, get beat by 2 people. It's a good experience.
Well, that's also the cool part about TTS too. It doesn't have any commitment. You don't have to build your army. You don't have to paint your army. You don't have to go somewhere and spend an entire day. You just
totally
what you want and learn the program.
Yeah, and then being able to set your own schedule. You're not committed to like a 6-hour tournament or whatever.
12 hours.
I mean, exactly.
Well, what's up with the 2-man unit of veterans?
So they are. You're either using them to deploy scramblers, and if you aren't taking that, then they're kind of just like babysitting characters, I guess.
I guess they could raise the banners.
Yep.
Do stuff.
Yep. If your vanguards might be advancing, your blade guard might be advancing. They like don't need to advance.
Just do something.
I think a lot of these lists are doing that. So like the Deathwing list has like 2 to 3 units of like the same veterans. The idea is like you just have small like they don't take up that much space, so you can kind of sneak them in deployment zones and whatnot.
Right. That's cool. You should definitely you should let me know how you do in the first few rounds. We can have you on and talk about it
for sure.
I know people. I know White Scar is really popular.
I know. I'm considering a pivot though.
Okay. So what are you considering?
the Ricard list of Admech seems pretty filthy.
Yeah.
And also sisters are hot stuff.
Sisters require a lot of playtime, though.
Right. That's the one reason why I wouldn't
There's
pick
so
them
many
up.
auras, so many characters.
Yeah.
If you mess that up,
Yep.
all your guys just do nothing.
That's exactly why I wouldn't pick them up for
Admech
something.
is a little more straightforward, and once you understand the synergies and how to use the dogs and everything, and what you're vulnerable against. But what kind of what was the Admech guys list? I know you said there was like a unit of four chicken walkers, something like that.
Yeah. So the list he ran was 2 Belarus, 1 Faramite. Here, I'll pull it up right now.
Wow.
9 dogs.
Yep.
I'm not sure what the tech he picked on the 1 Faramite. I feel like you should always go with the Belarus.
Sure. Exactly.
He had
it should be 4 shots. 3 shots is I don't understand it, or 5 shots. It's just bad.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's not great. And damage 3 is like not that much better than damage 2.
Exactly. Yep.
So he's got 5 breachers with the claw and the rifle, some rangers, 5 rust stalkers for his deploy scramblers, 4 of the chickens, 9 dogs. No, I'm sorry, he had 18 dogs.
So 2 units of 9, sure.
Yeah, 2 units of 9, and then the disintegrators and the Fusilovs, 2 Fusilovs.
Okay, that's a similar list to what Monte played against at his event too.
Yeah, it's like solid. I think it's beatable for sure.
Sure, I mean because they're vehicles, therefore, like we were mentioning, there's a lot of use to kill vehicles. So if every army in 40 has bad matchups.
Yeah, for sure.
The overpowered armies of yesterday had no bad matchups, and that was part of the problem with Knights, Yunari, things like that. It was very frustrating to play against. But if you go to Admech, that'd be good because there's not as many Admech players, and I need some Admech players to talk to.
Yeah, I feel like the Electro Priests are just
they're solid.
That 2++. You know?
They do. Okay. Yeah, the Fulgurites, yeah.
Right. Once you get there.
Once you get there, a lot of players don't understand that. So you'll often run into a situation where someone just deploys their guys out of too close to you, and you just blitz into them, kill them. They're often on an objective. You'll pop the strat for +1 your vulnerable save, 2 up, and then they might the entire game trying to kill you.
Yeah, I think Ricard was saying like on one of the Art of War podcasts, like maybe you leave a transport out and they pop it, and then you use your 6-inch disembark and your 0 CP stratagem, so you lose no dudes. And if that's the end of their shooting phase, and then you're like 6 inches closer.
That's what happened. My good friend Lewis Stolberg, he was top Admech player in ITC last year, and that's what happened at LVO.
Yep.
Their scouts in the middle of the board or on an objective, and they just got run over by the priests, and then couldn't get rid of them.
Yeah, and then scouts are dead, right? So
terrible.
Yeah, so incursors are the new hot stuff for sure, and so potentially infiltrators. But so I think my opponent in the final round, he's probably concerned with he was like salty that I was playing with scouts at all, which is whatever. Yeah, how are you salty? It's literally a 70-point unit blowing over that.
His Vanguard are like 60, so or 62 or something.
Yeah, but so the idea is like any of the forward deploying stuff starts screwing with your dogs, and if you have these priests right there, you're just like, oh, you want to deploy your incursors 9 inches away? Great, I'm on
extremely
the
dangerous. Extremely dangerous. If you don't that first turn, you just gave him a massive swing.
Yeah, and I think I heard the tech is like you take an Inquisitor, I forget which guy he is, who can do the forward deploy, and so then he can forward deploy so that you don't get Incursor boxed in or something. But if you have if you have Electro Priest, you don't really care if you get boxed in because you're just
the Inquisitor 2 has a power which denies Overwatch, which is a big thing for them as well.
True.
So, all right, man. That was a fun conversation. You should definitely let me know what happens in the event, especially if you play Admech, because White Scars. There's a lot of White Scars players. Yeah. That's fine too. There's a lot of people who care about Marines.
It's true, they do.
So, let me know how that goes in your pods, and we can. There's a lot to talk about.
Definitely, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. And anyone who's watching, I'm planning on doing the show every Tuesday at 7. Might be doing a second show for European viewers.
Oh, I will add one thing.
Yes.
If I could. I created a Discord for NYC players because we have COVID. Like all the game stores are down. No one's really playing. So if you are interested in competitive play in New York City, like Google competitive Warhammer New York City. There's like a Reddit post. Hop in the Discord. Come join us.
Shoot me that link on Facebook later, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Definitely will.
People can join. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching. It's about 9:30 now, so I'm going to end it about 2.5 hour stream. Next week, I'm trying to get, if you know any Dark Eldar players, I might try to get some well-known Art of War Dark Eldar players on here. I want to talk about Dark Eldar. I want to talk about Dark Angels. So we're trying to get those two guys on. So I will see you next week.